fit in proper persons tests and can even force owners to give up their stake in a club, which for certain supporters might be a welcome relief. It's likely good news for the EFL. The tension between them and the Premier League over a fair financial deal has been increasing in recent years. As it stands, talks have broken down. The Premier League backed out of recent negotiations, but the regulator will have the power to force through a deal, meaning more money for clubs lower down the pyramid. Now, this might sound simple, but in reality there's concerns this will open a legal can of worms, which could result in messy court cases involving the Premier League and the regulator. Parachute payments will be brought under the control of the regulator too. If they reduce them, it could mean a wider variety of clubs securing promotion to the top flight, but critics reckon it'll just mean the gap between the Premier League and EFL actually widens, as promoted clubs won't get as much money, which should normally be used to buy better players so they can compete. And current Premier League clubs have said if there were no parachute payments, they'd actually invest less, which would harm the quality of the top flight. And if clubs don't invest, then you'll get exactly what the EFL don't want, which is the same three clubs going down every year. And remember when Cardiff's owners changed the club's colours and badge? Well, in future, fans will have to approve any major changes to their club's heritage. Now, that might all sound great, but do we really need it? Some say the downfall of Reading and Bury is an exception, not the rule. So as a whole, the most successful footballing pyramid in world football doesn't need regulation. They say it scares investors who can help grow the game. If those investors go elsewhere, well, the Premier League may no longer be the destination for the best players in the world. And others, well, they just don't trust politicians to appoint truly independent people to regulate our game.
This is Game Day Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it is the one and only former Republic of Ireland striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
The rest of the championship gets underway today after this happened in this season opener between Birmingham and Ipswich last night.
Ipswich have a penalty in stoppage time. George Hurst drills it down the middle and in.
Yeah, we'll have more on that 1-1 draw then at St Andrews. Plus, Darwin Nunez is leaving Liverpool. We'll get more on his move to Saudi Arabia.
Nunez has said yes to Al Hilal on a wage of about £400,000 tax-free a week. It's going to be a 3-year contract, and now there is a verbal agreement in place between Liverpool and Al Hilal for €53 million plus add-ons.
And Manchester United are due to announce the signing of the RB Leipzig striker Benjamin Šeško. Could the Red Devils be signing an unpolished diamond?
I still maintain there's a good player in there, absolutely, but I can see why United are bringing in a top-line striker. But, it is difficult to make that leap.
Yeah, we'll have more on all of that, plus much, much more as well. Cass, how you doing?
I'm good, Nat. Sorry, I'm just working out the wages of £400,000 a week net over a year.
Right.
Just like mad.
Do you want to tell us?
Well, I'm just doing the actual...
Doing the maths now.
I'm just doing it. I haven't finished doing that. We'll have to go back to that. But let's go 400,000 times 52.
Yeah.
Equals 20,800,000 a year.
Lovely.
Tax-free.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I was hoping I was going to win the Euro Millions last night. That hasn't happened.
Did no one win?
I don't know, actually. I don't know.
No one win. What was it? It was about
172.
Oh, that's what? Hey.
I'd have done better than Darwin.
Well, that's... Well, we're looking at 8 times more than Darwin.
I know. So my fingers are still crossed for next time.
Over 8 years.
Anyway, we digress. Should we get straight to last night's action?
Yes,
In
absolutely.
the Championship, of course, it got off to an entertaining start as two of the bookies' favourites for the title, Birmingham and Ipswich, played out a 1-1 draw. Here's how it sounded on talkSPORT.
The Championship is one of the wonders of the football world. It's a beautiful basket case of brilliance, and we're the only national radio station that brings it to you live. Let's get this season starting.
Oh, Kyogo could be in here. He is in. He's chipped the keeper off the post. Stansfield! The first goal of the new championship season is a Birmingham City goal. George Hurst to bring Ipswich back on level terms. Big deep breath, short runner, right-footed, and he drills it down the middle and in. And Ipswich have salvaged a point late at St Andrews. The championship is back, and already on talkSPORT it is full of all the usual drama. Birmingham 1, Ipswich 1.
Yeah, the championship then getting up and running. Jay Stansfield put Birmingham ahead, only for perhaps a controversial penalty to be awarded to Ipswich late on, which George Hurst put away to ensure Ipswich came away with a point. Now, Cass, you watched this one. I was somewhere else watching a different game, which we'll come to shortly, I'm sure. But tell us about this game and a way to start the championship season with it.
Well, first of all, fabulous atmosphere at St Andrews. 27,000 in there. You could feel it rocking. You know, two teams with aspirations of trying to get promoted back to the Premier League. Birmingham City have achieved a hell of a lot in the last few years, and it started like you'd expect. Disappointed with the ref. The ref didn't let the game flow at all. Too many, he just whistle, and it just interrupted the flow of the game. With that, Birmingham dominated. The opening half, certainly up till until they scored. And I thought Troy Deeney was absolutely spot on once they did score. They sort of took the foot off the pedal slightly and defended a bit more. And Ipswich, as you'd expect, would get back into the game. A crazy goal disallowed. Kyogo's goal disallowed was a strange one. He hardly touched the Ipswich defender. And it was a great finish. Just lobs it over the keeper, and it should have been given. It should have been a goal. It was absolutely
it was a very soft foul to have given.
Well, you're talking about 6'3", 6'4" central defender. Kyogo, who's about 5'7", just leans into him and gets himself half a yard and a bit of space and lobs the keeper. And I'm thinking, how on earth are you going to disallow that goal? Because I didn't quite, when he first blew up, I thought, was that foul? A little bit harsh. It was a slight nudge, but not much more. Ipswich got away with one, didn't play well. Jack Clark couldn't get in the game for Ipswich. Now, he's a creative player, and there's lots expected of him because he was a terrific footballer. There's no doubt about that. A lot of talent, technically wise, but couldn't make any impact in the game. Ogbeni, who plays for Ireland, I thought he had a really quiet game. He's played way better when he was at Luton. But Ipswich really struggled in this game. And then, of course, it got to this period of the game now, late on, extra, literally in injury time. And a penalty, again, harsh. I thought it was a harsh penalty to be given. There was a lot going on in the incident from the corner.
Yes. So,
you've seen.
Yeah, I've watched back the highlights, and we did have to sort of rewind.
Dissect it.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. So there are a number of players involved, as you say, in a little sort of... what would you
melees?
Yeah, it's not a melee as such. It's just a lot of them coming together, and there's a lot of fouls taking place. They're all fouling each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And Lyndon Dykes is kind of caught up in it as he's gone obviously he's a striker, but he's trying to defend the set piece. He's jumped up, but he's not really got a full leap on him. Partly because I think of the fouls that are taking place. Now his arms are are in an unnatural position, and that is why the referee has awarded that penalty. But there is a part of it that you could argue, well, because of all the fouls taking place, it's maybe an unfair penalty because of the fact he's been involved in
shirt grabbing going on, there's pushing.
Yeah, so when he's leapt, he's not even got the leap because of everything that's going on around him. He's not actually involved in any of the fouls. He's just part of the little group that have come together. I can see why Birmingham would have been angered about that penalty, but equally I can see why from the ref's perspective he's just seeing a hand in the air, so he's going to give a penalty at the end of the day.
Well, you have to, if you're going to jump, you get leverage, you have to use your arms. I know. Unfortunately it just clips his arm. I'm seeing so many incidents happen in one moment. In one split second you're seeing about 3 or 4 things going on. There was a lad for Birmingham City, Coughlin, I think his name is, who done the most blatant foul early in the game, and the referee just waved play on.
Cochrane it was, that's it. And he does a blatant foul, gets away with it. He was fouling nearly on every corner. Really?
Just every time there was an opportunity, Cochrane made a foul, blocked. Really dangerous stuff, because a referee might let you get away with it once, but there's going to be times you're going to be identified and you're going to go, no, you've done one too many. So, but Birmingham was so comfortable for about an hour until they conceded that. And they'll be really disappointed. And I tell you who will be disappointed, Kieran McKenna.
Well, this is it.
He will be, because they didn't play well.
No, and they only had one shot on target throughout that whole game. Now, look, Birmingham didn't have loads more. I think they only had 3, but they created a little bit more than the visitors.
Well, we'll give them a bit of benefit of doubt in that, because obviously Hutchinson's was left out because of transfer rumours that's going on, and they've lost Delap.
Yeah.
Smodics is not quite playing as well as he has done. He's never really, for me, he's shown glimpses of it with Ipswich, but never to the level that he showed at Blackburn.
Right.
Smodics was a really, really good player for Blackburn. And he's done okay at Ipswich, but I wouldn't say much more. I think expectation on him would be a bit higher. So it was a hard game. The lad Hurst up front really battled away, really battled away, but not much change for him.
Okay, let's bring you some reaction to that result then, because on the sports bar last night, Brogan, the Birmingham fan, rang up to have their say, and they're still confident despite conceding that late penalty that they're going to do well this season.
It's half decent start, obviously a draw against the likely winners of the league. But in all fairness, we should have won it. Yeah. The ref was an absolute joke.
Yeah, I wanted to speak to you about the ref. What was it about him that you didn't?
So I was at the ground, obviously, unreal atmosphere. It just seemed the ref was giving everything to those guys. Obviously, they're coming down from the Premier League. It just seemed like he wanted them to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. Of course, he didn't want them to win. But he made a lot of mistakes, the referee, especially in the early period of the game. And it did make a difference. Birmingham City were the better team, no doubt about that. But then when you lead 1-0 and you just don't get the game done and dusted, get that second, you're always up for something that can just change the game in a moment now. I give him his credit, Jay Stansfield. I like him as in he just reminds me of a Jamie Vardy. Yeah. That type of striker, very nimble, quick, gets opportunities. He's not the biggest, but battles away. He's just a nuisance. I mean, Thiago, who played alongside him, he just battled away. He's up against 2 6'4" central defenders, and he was battling away. Done brilliantly well for them. He was the standout player for Birmingham City last night.
Well, there are a whole host of championship games coming your way across the talkSPORT network this weekend, which we'll update you on. But very quickly, where was I? I was at the GTEC.
Yes.
GTEC last night as Brentford in their final pre-season friendly took on German side Borussia Mönchengladbach. Finished in a 2-2 draw.
Was you glad it's back?
Was that? Well, it was quite nice to be.
Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, jeez, it's too early for that. It's too early.
It's a bit early. Come on, tell us what was the standout feature for you, or the features of? I
think there's a few things. So first half, I don't think we were as dynamic, let's say, as Borussia Mönchengladbach. I thought they were the better side in the first half. They got forward a lot quicker than we did. We were a little bit slower in going forward, and I think that's something we're lacking, a bit of pace. I mean, when you're losing someone like Brian Mbeumo, you're going to lose pace in your side. And Io Thiago, who was brought in as Ivan Toney's replacement, as we all know, but got injured in pre-season last summer, only kind of emerged towards the end of last season to play for us in the Premier League. Quite isolated as that striker. He clearly needs someone alongside him to knock it down to, for someone to get in behind, etc. Second half, though, much better. I want you to look out for Anthony Malambo, who is our summer signing. Ooh, tricky little player. He could get through spaces that you're thinking, how have you got through that? When you're talking about 2 or 3 defenders that are swarming around him, he could still get through. Now, I know it's a friendly, so we can't, put too much on it, but it was still, I was very impressed with him. And equally, quite impressed with Jordan Henderson, who came on. Okay. And there was just that element of, he's still got that quality. He's still got that leadership and experience that we're expecting of him. And he just showed some class throughout the... So
you and Thomas Tuchel on the same page then? You still think he's got a role to play?
Thomas, I can be a part of your backroom staff. Not a problem. I see what you say.
Okay, one quick thing before we go to break. Style of play. Was there any change?
No, very similar. Playing out from the back, although it's very difficult to say because second half we were quite dominant going forward and Mönchengladbach didn't have as many opportunities. So our keeper, and it wasn't Kelleher, he wasn't playing, just didn't have as much to do in the second half. But it's certainly not a hoofball or anything like that. It was trying to play out from the back and it's very similar, but we'll see what happens going forward. And quickly, surprise guest in our owner's box.
Go on.
Giorgio Chiellini was there.
Wow.
I mean, is he going to join the revolution? I don't know. Anyway, right, on the way next then, we're going to talk more about the fact that the Championship is back. Morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Pleasure to have your company this morning. It's the former FA Cup finalist Tony Cascarino, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. We're with you until 10 o'clock this morning, and we're playing a little bit of Green Day this morning. My good friend Claire Tomlinson would absolutely love it. She's a massive Green Day fan.
Good.
Anytime they're touring, she goes to at least 3 or 4 of their concerts. Loves it.
Yeah, you do get hooked on certain bands.
Yes, yes. Now, the problem is, the last time she went, she ended up breaking one of her ankles. Yeah, she fell down the stairs.
Oh.
So people barged past her and she fell. And that was the start of the Green Day. And then she was like, I missed it. I had to go to hospital.
Oh dear, that's so sad.
I know. But this is American Idiot. And the reason we're playing it is because of a story that was being in the papers this morning with regards to regional accents that are dying out because young people are picking up American phrases from TikTok. The author, Nicola Chester, has said she has noticed school children using the US lingo from Netflix to Disney programs whilst working as a school librarian. Now, that's a bit sad.
It's been going on for years in Scandinavia. You've noticed Scandinavians, a lot of them will say American words.
Yeah.
They all speak really good English.
Well, the other thing, I mean, if I compare it to my cousin, so I'm half Bulgarian, I've said it many times, when he speaks to me in English, he has an American twang.
Yeah.
And that's because you pick it up from the films and, like you say, the TV shows that they're watching. So, yeah, kind of gets you thinking about our accents, because we've got such extraordinary, different, diverse accents, haven't we?
Yeah, well, it happens in every country. I mean, if you listen to Marseille, the accent in Marseille, and then you listen to Parisian, they're so different. And it's exactly the same in France. It always amazes me with accents. The one that gets me, and this happens in other parts of the country as well, is that Liverpool and Manchester can be separated, by 30-plus mile?
It's not much, yeah.
It's not much. But their accents are so you can identify with either of them. They're so different between a small distance.
Yeah, and then you consider Leeds is not that far away either.
No.
And yet the Yorkshire accent is quite definable.
And from Hull to Leeds?
Oh, I mean, you can pick
You lived in Leeds?
I lived in Leeds, and two of my best friends come from Hull, and you can pick a Hull accent. I mean, it's the way they... One of my best friends, she was like, I don't have a Hull accent. And you'd be like, you do. Because she'd be going, I'll have a dark Kirk and I'll ring you on the phone. And you're like, that is a Hull accent. You just know a Hull accent. It's funny, isn't it?
It is funny.
My son has just got back from holiday with his dad, and they're in America, and they were saying they were in a lift, and there's an American couple in the lift, and the wife sort of said to my son, I love your accent.
Yeah, I know. They always
love
do.
it. Love the English
I was in a McDonald's, right? I was in a McDonald's in Colorado.
Yeah.
I took my son in, and the woman said, "Can someone else serve him because I can't understand him?" Because I asked for a burger and some water, and she didn't.
Water.
Yeah, it's water.
Yeah, exactly. It's the water.
She didn't know I was saying water, and I was like, "Surely you can understand." I'm saying water.
Water.
Yeah, there's no L. It's water.
Water.
Yeah, but my favourite accent in the UK would be Geordie.
Oh, okay.
And I know that there's people in the northeast, and from Mackems to Geordies, that there's a different accent there in itself. But I do think the Geordie accent is quite a nice one. It just makes me always feel it just feels a warm accent to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. So there you go. There's a little bit of a concern that we're losing our regional accents all due to, well, the Netflix and Disney programs that our children are watching. So have a look. Keep an eye on your kids. We don't want to lose our regional accents because they're pretty fun. Right, let's get to more of the Championship, shall we? Because it officially gets underway this weekend. It's already kicked off yesterday with that game at St Andrews. But the debate has raged here on talkSPORT over whether or not the second tier is the most exciting than the Premier League, for example. Now, when you consider the excitement of the playoffs, the lack of VAR, and the fact that anyone can beat anyone, is it a more compelling watch than the sometimes predictable Premier League, or do you just simply want to see the best players in the best teams going toe-to-toe every week? This is what Adeola Dipo and former Villa striker Gabby Agbonlor just said, said on Thursday's Drive Show.
Is the Championship the best league in the world?
No. Most competitive? Yes.
Okay,
Can you bet on the Championship if you wanted to? It'd be very difficult.
Doesn't that make it the best then?
No.
Well, yeah, but most of the games in the Premier League, I turn on and I can kind of predict who's going to win.
The only problem.
I have no idea who's going to win some of these games in the Championship.
The only problem we will say now about the Premier League that it's frustrating people as the best league in the world because everyone's trying to play the same.
Yeah.
You switch a game on and everyone's passing it back to the keeper.
And VAR.
Cross.
And
VAR.
VAR.
The problems with the way everyone looks like they want to play the same football.
Okay. You got a view?
Addy said there you can't predict who's going to win. Well, last year Leeds, Sheffield United and Burnley all got 90 points. So you probably more likely to guess who's going to win.
Yes.
It's a different view. Look, there are loads of teams in as you go down the tiers of football are playing way more football. They have their way of playing. What it is humdinging style. Even last night, it wasn't a great game last night, but there was a fantastic atmosphere at St Andrews, and the game sort of always felt it was on the edge. Was it full of technical brilliance? No. Say workmanlike. It was hard working from both sides. Of course, the Premier League is better because there's more quality on show. You're seeing players, and you do see it in the Championship, but you don't see the technical ability of the very highest levels around. You don't see a Kevin De Bruyne in the Championship. That's because everybody that's that good gets sold on and moves to a higher level. I still enjoy it, still love it, and there was times that I can go and see a non-league game, and I think it's nice to see football being played in a certain way, and it can be more competitive. And also, the biggest argument for lots of fans now is the falling down and faking injury so often in the Premier League, more than in the Championship.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of it last night as well, by the way. Quite a bit of it last night.
It is a great debate. And look, the Championship, of course, has many pluses to it. And I loved it when we were in the Championship for the years we were. Yeah, absolutely loved it. The one thing I slightly disagree with Addy there, when he said, well, you can kind of predict the results in the Premier League. I think last season showed that a lot of teams could beat anybody, hence why you had Forest in contention for the Champions League for so very, very long.
No one would have predicted Spurs and Man United being where they finished.
No, exactly. And then you had, obviously, towards the end, you had Brighton, you had Bournemouth, you had Fulham, you had Brentford, so all kind of still competing for the European places. I know it didn't quite work out in the end because of how Palace won the FA Cup. But yes, there's also a predictability. We know that. I mean, the relegation picture ended a long, long time ago in that league last season, unfortunately. But there was still something, I thought, that it felt like a lot of teams could beat anybody on their day.
I think technical ability of the Premier League players and just watching Champions League as well is superior.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's a bad watch, the Championship. It's not. It's a good watch. And you only have to see the amount of clubs in the Championship that are getting really high attendances on a regular basis.
Well, if you have a view, you're more than welcome to get in touch this morning. It'd be great to hear from you. Do you think the Championship is more exciting than the Premier League, or are you all about the return of the top flight? Why not give us a call on 03717 223344. You can also leave us a voice note on WhatsApp. That's on the same number. Or drop us a text to 81089. Up next, we're going to focus on more of the Championship returning this weekend. And somewhere in the M6, we're going to be speaking to a Wrexham fan who is en route to St Mary's as his side contest their first second-tier game for 43 years. If we take you back to those years, our cast was just on the cusp of a big money move, or potentially big tracksuit transfer from Crockenhill to Gillingham. That's how long ago it was, Cass. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT with NordVPN. Get your talkSPORT exclusive offer today with 72% off a 2-year plan, an extra month and a £50 Amazon gift card for free. Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at nordvpn.com/talkSPORT.
pads are a footballer's best friend, even if players like Jack Grealish do wear such small ones you can barely even see them. But what's the story with shin pads, and are there any rules on how big they should be? It all started with cricket, actually. Cricketers had been wearing shin pads since the 1700s. They'd been introduced not for leg protection, but instead to give batters a strategic advantage. The idea was that batters could put their leg pads in front of the wicket if they missed the ball, preventing them from being bowled out. Obviously, that all changed when the LBW rule came in, but that was the theory behind them. It was thanks to this guy that shin protection made its way over to football. Meet Samuel Widdowson. He was a cricketer and a footballer. He played for Nottingham Forest back in the late 1800s, and he wanted a way to protect his legs from nasty tackles. Apparently, he'd broken his leg in a match against Sheffield United in 1874 and wanted to stop it from happening again. Naturally, his mind drifted to his other favourite sport, where players had been wearing these pads. Story goes, Widdowson cut up his cricket pads, sewed them into his socks and popped them on before taking to the footy pitch. Ta-da! Shin pads. Like all great genius inventors, everyone took the mickey at first. To be fair, he probably looked quite stupid running around with these on. But it's thought his whole Nottingham Forest team then began wearing them from 1887, and the first known use of them in a match was in 1894, in a match between Newcastle and the then Woolwich Arsenal. Eventually, FIFA clocked on that this protection was pretty important for footballers. Multiple studies have shown wearing shin pads clearly reduces the risk of players getting lower leg injuries. And so in 1990, basically 100 years after Widdowson first put them on, shin pads were made compulsory. It became a part of Law 4 of IFAB. That's the body responsible for setting the laws of the game internationally. But the law doesn't actually specify anything about measurements of shin pads. It just says pads must be made of a suitable material and be of an appropriate size to provide reasonable protection. It's really vague. And
Good morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT with a man who was once sold for 12 tracksuits. That's Tony Cascarino. He's alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. Wrexham play their first second-tier league game for 43 years today as they face the long journey to the south coast to play relegated Southampton live on talkSPORT. That's a round trip of around 440 miles for what is a 12:30 kickoff. Facing a team that up until last season were a Premier League side would be a daunting first away day for many teams, but this is a Wrexham side buoyed by 3 successive promotions and with an outside hope perhaps of making it 4 in a row. So ahead of this game, let's hear from the Wrexham boss Phil Parkinson, who has outlined his owner's aims for the new season.
Yeah, I think one thing with Rob and Ryan, they've never kind of, spoke about, put pressure on us, we've got to do this or we've got to do that. It's about, the talk about getting the squad and the template we set out in the summer, what we're working towards. Can we fill the blanks where we needed players coming in to give us a chance to be competitive in the division? So they're the conversations I have with Rob and Ryan about that, rather than we've got to do this or we've got to do that. That's never been the way the conversations have gone. They just been supportive to help us build a competitive team squad.
Well, the fans, I'm sure, are full of anticipation. Would have had to get up at the crack of dawn, no doubt, to make their way down to the south coast. Let's find out how positive they are, because I'm pleased to say, joining us, a Wrexham fan, executive editor of the Daily Post, Andy Gilpin, joins us somewhere on the road. Morning to you, Andy.
Andy.
Morning, guys. How are you?
We're all right.
For Roy's bus. This can only go wrong.
Have you any idea where you are, Andy?
Yes. Well, I thought we were going the wrong way. But we're just heading on the M56. Go down the M6, and then it's a sheer probably 4 hours to Southampton. It's better. I tell you what, it's better than Eastleigh.
Positive, I like it. Lots of positivity about Wrexham.
Andy, tell us what time you got up and get yourself ready. See the coach is pretty much full. You're travelling down to Southampton.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much full. It's been coming down the coast. I've cracked the can already. Don't worry about that. So I got up at 10 to 5.
Wow.
Got up 10 to 5. And got the coach about an hour later. So I think we'll be there probably at 11ish.
The story of Wrexham, you don't need us reminding how amazing it has been since you've had Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney getting involved. It's just been an incredible journey for all of you to be on. So going into this championship season, are you optimistic? How are you feeling about it all?
If I take this game, this game could be anything. I have no idea what this score could be. They could absolutely hammer us. We could nick a win. It could be a ball draw. I have no idea. Overall, I think he's been quite clever in the transfer market. He's got a system. He doesn't move away from that system whatsoever. And what he's got now is better players to play that system. So I think he's quite canny on that. The problem is we might need a plan because the championships are very, very tough league.
Give us just a little feel, Andy, because it's been an incredible journey for Wrexham fans to witness your club going from, non-league through the levels and where you are today. It must just be a dream ride for you guys.
Well, as I said earlier, last time we came down to the South Coast, we were playing Eastleigh, and you could sort of see the Southampton ground, and you were thinking, I think it's going to be a long time before we ever get there. But flash forward a couple of years later, and we are there. And that, people keep saying, yeah, it's a surreal experience. It is. No one expected. I don't even think the owners expected us to go through the leagues as quickly as we have. And now we're playing an ex-Premier League team in a full house. I think when Tim sitting next to me, he said it's going to be the biggest crowd we played in front, biggest league crowd we played in front of for 50 years, I think. And when you're coming around Braintree like we were 6 or 7 years ago, that's such a complete culture change.
Yeah, Mickey Thomas feels a long way away, doesn't it?
Mickey's always around. Don't worry about it.
So tell us then, in terms of how many away fans do you think Wrexham are going to take to Southampton today?
It's more or less a sellout. I think we've got 3,000. Wow. So that's a pretty decent attendance for what is quite a long way. I will carry that on. We've not been to the likes of Norwich or Ipswich for quite a while, and I think those are the ones that the fans are really targeting. It's a long way, but they're the grounds they want to go to because they're the grounds that we were dreaming of 10 years ago.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Phil Parkinson. I've been lucky enough to meet Phil along the, during my career. He's done an incredible job. He's a very humble man, and he's really feet on the ground, and he's done it brilliantly well for you in all different levels, which in itself is a challenge.
Just forgive us. We're just doing a corner on the getting onto the M6. So
brilliant.
Good job. I'm not driving it. Fair play the co-driver. Right, parking. Yes. Oh, hang on. He's going the other way now.
Why am I holding beers while we're doing all this?
Parking. So I think when we had this sort of razzmatazz and people were just holding the cans now, when we had the razzmatazz and the Hollywood sort of takeover, you did sort of think, who are they going to bring in as manager? Do they want someone box office? Do they want someone like, I don't know, like Roy Keane that would make a good part of the documentary? So when they brought in Phil Parkinson, I actually thought, hang on, they're giving this a go. Because that fella isn't really box office, but what he is, he's a very good sort of solid manager who knows the leagues and knows how to get out of them. And what he's managed to do is foster a very, very good team spirit. And I think that's what's really helped us get through not just the conference, which is the most important one for us. And, I thought we might have a good go at League Two, but to go straight through League One as well was not something I was expecting. And I think we're ahead of where we should be. It's around about the rest of the club, the rest of the team to catch up, because there's still a few things behind the scenes, like no training ground, we're only a three-sided ground. That's not championship level, but the team that Parkinson has built, hopefully, is.
And he's brought in players with championship experience this summer. You look at Connor Cody, Kiefer Moore, Josh Windass, and I know Jay Rodriguez as well, Premier League levels too. There's a real thought of, as ever any manager has to do, but a real thought about the best squad that you can put together that's hopefully going to give you a good fight this season.
Yeah, I think it's strong in every position. But as I said earlier, he's got a very set way that he likes to play. It's 3-5-2. It's always been 3-5-2. So he likes to have people in those positions all the way through to back it up. And I think if you look at the squad, it's quite a tight squad in the Championship, 25 players, but everyone there's no real holes in the squad. You can't really see an imbalance. Everywhere is quite well organised and quite well sort of matched. So, and I think that's a skill of Parkinson and the recruitment.
Yeah. Andy, the gentleman next to you, obviously your friend, he doesn't look too happy that he's handling your cans.
It's because he woke me up. We were all sleepy before. He's woken everybody up about 10 minutes.
I must say, I was thinking it's quite quiet on the coach. We need to get a bit rowdy. We need to get the atmosphere going.
Sorry about this. It's 6:30 in the morning.
I know, exactly. I hear you. Oh, look.
I would say come back in 3 hours, but you don't want to be here in 3 hours. It will be chaos.
It's a very different scenario in 3 hours.
Yeah, I think we've picked the best possible time to speak to you all. Listen, best of luck. Safe journey to Southampton, and best of luck as well for today and for the season as well. Thank you for being with us.
Cheers.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. That is, some of the Wrexham fans making their way down to Southampton. Andy Gilpin there, who is a Wrexham fan and also executive editor of the Daily Post.
Never ceases to amaze me the fanatical belief of fans in football in this country.
You know what it is? It's the hope that kills you.
I know, Nat, but to think that Wrexham, where they were, and they get crowds of 13,000, whatever, you just look at football in general and the Championship and big crowds, many different games today.
Yeah.
It's just frightening how the game is so big in this country, considering there's 60 plus million now, that attendances can be so high. And I'm talking all the way down in the tiers, of going way down to tiers 6 and 7 and beyond. The teams that can get these supports.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. Yeah. It's extraordinary how... Well, it's our national sport, isn't it? So it just has become ingrained in all of us.
Everywhere.
And it's wonderful that it is supported, as you say, to such levels when you're going down the pyramid. 440 miles then, that round trip. That's a pretty long distance that Wrexham fans are making today.
We're going to get the challenge now, aren't we? We're going to get the... who's doing a longer one?
Well, let us know if you are travelling further. Who you're going to support?
Always Sunderland or Plymouth, isn't it? That's
Carlisle and all that. Yeah, exactly.
Gillingham.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Gillingham's a long trip to Carlisle.
Well, of course it is.
Or vice versa.
I was going to say.
That's nearly up there with the longest.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it is. I still think Plymouth to Carlisle might beat that. But, I hear what you're saying. Why not let us know your journey today, where you're heading to? It can be from the Championship. What?
I'm going to check.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Right. You check. Leagues 1 and 2 as well. You can send us a text at 81089, a voice note on 03717 223344. Why not let us know how optimistic you are as well ahead of this season, this weekend for the Championship getting underway. I know Leagues 1 and 2 started last weekend, but why not again get in touch? Just like we've had a message here. Morning, can I have a shout out for Scott, Keith and 11-year-old Mason on the way to Old Trafford already for the pre-season friendly against Fiorentina. There you go. Enjoy yourselves at Old Trafford. Speaking of which, we are going to discuss the latest transfer business being done at Manchester United, with Benjamin Sesko due to be announced today, in fact, at that Fiorentina friendly. Will he be a good fit for the club? We'll talk about it next. We're just trying to see how far people are travelling this morning. For example, in the National League, I mean, our very own Jeff Stelling is going to this game, I believe.
Yes, he is.
He is heading to Yeovil to support his Hartlepool side. A one-way trip would be 333 miles. You will be in the car for nearly 6 hours, just one way.
Yeah, that's a
commitment.
Hell of a journey. That's taking up your whole weekend, isn't it?
Yeah. You've got to do that. You've got to make it a weekend, don't you? As some of the Borussia Mönchengladbach fans did yesterday. There was a little pocket of them, which was quite nice to see.
Good.
This was at the Brentford friendly, which finished 2-2. Loads of messages coming in. Thank you very much. We will get to them. But this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Thank you very much for tuning in to the former Aston Villa and Gillingham striker Tony Cascarino, who is with me, Natalie Sawyer. Here are some of your headlines today. Arsenal teenager Ethan Nwaneri has signed a new 5-year contract, which will keep him at the Premier League club until the summer of 2030. Marc-Andre ter Stegen has been reinstated as the Barcelona captain, and disciplinary proceedings against him have been dropped in a dramatic 24-hour turnaround. It was a bizarre story, that one. I'm sure we'll clarify it for you. And Coventry will begin their championship campaign as they take on Hull. Their manager, Frank Lampard, told talkSPORT his Coventry team are ready to get the new season underway.
Happy to be here because pre-season is a process. We've been together 5.5 weeks or so. Travelled to Portugal, came back, lots of training and prep. Lots going on for a manager, to be fair, trying to get everything as ready as you can for that first game of the season. But then a real feeling of excitement when you get to the real stuff. I'm ready to not play friendlies. I'm ready to play the proper stuff. More importantly, the players should be ready for that. Freshly rested from before that and ready to go.
I mean, when you consider what he achieved last season, Cass, which I know ended in disappointment in the playoff semi-finals, but having taken them over, from 16th, something like that, the position they were in.
Yeah, the wrong end of the championship.
Yeah, incredible, and only something you can build on, hopefully.
Yeah, and look, they played a lot of good football in that time as well. And again, we talked about a little bit earlier about the togetherness of a club that you can bring everybody together, get the fans on board and take them on that journey. And I think there's a lot of excitement around Coventry because of the way they played last year. And Frank will take great delight. And yes, they lost the playoff game against Sunderland, but great delight in what the squad can do. And I think you really look forward to this season. Not quite sure how competitive they've been in the transfer market, considering I think there's been a few ins and outs, but nothing major. So he's obviously quite happy with the group of players he's got.
Yeah. Well, you'll be able to tune in to see how Coventry fare in their opening game as they host Hull. It's live for you this afternoon over on talkSPORT 2. It kicks off at 12:30. And remember, for more on all of those stories we mentioned in the headlines, you can visit our website, talksport.com. Manchester United are closing in on the signing of RB Leipzig striker Benjamin Šeško for a fee of $74 million. He's going to spearhead a new look front three alongside Matheus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo as well. That's a new £200 million strike force for a club who are apparently short on cash.
Yes, and a new training ground, or not new training ground. Revamped.
50 million.
50 million. Yeah, they're showing their muscle, aren't they?
They are. They are looking to recoup some of those losses, though, in player sales, with Alejandro Garnacho reportedly a £50 million target for Chelsea, and Rasmus Højlund, so they say, has been made available for around 40 million, although he himself has said he wants to stay and fight for his place. Speaking to talkSPORT on Thursday morning, the German football expert Kevin Hatchard said United fans will have to be patient with Šeško.
I think you've got to give him time. And what's important is not to get into the kind of situation that Højlund is in, where he seems to have lost all confidence. And I still maintain there's a good player in there, absolutely. But I can see why United are bringing in a top-line striker. But it is difficult to make that leap when you go to a new country, new club. United, we've seen so many quality players go there and lose their way because the club's been a mess at every level.
So after a little tug of war with Newcastle for Šeško, and I say little because it did feel as though once United got involved, it was all one-way traffic. They're going to get their man.
Yeah.
Does that sort of complete the sort of revamp for Manchester United in the sense of that they're going to do much better now?
I think, well, I do think they'll be a much better team. I think, obviously, Cunha coming in, and Mbeumo is another one. I like the idea of the centre forward because Rasmus Højlund had struggled, and you could clearly see it affected his confidence. His work rate has always been exceptional. Every time he crossed the white line, you can't demand more effort from him. Unfortunately, he's not been clinical enough, and I think he's just really had a hard season. And it's not all down to him. He's just a consequence of a team or a squad of players that have all, mainly nearly all of them, have underperformed.
Absolutely.
Just so many of them. And there's disruption at the training ground, quite clearly, from what Amorim has had to do. He's had to sort of jettison some players out of the squad, and he's trying to get United to have an identity in what his team are made of.
I mean, just going back onto the Højlund situation, he's only 22. Are you writing him off in the sense of he has said he wants to stay and fight for his place, but is he just never going to reach Premier League levels, or are we just, as I say, writing somebody off who's still quite young?
I'd like to defend him, but my honest gut feeling, I'm not sure if he's Premier League level.
Right.
Okay. With that, at 22, could he develop and become a better player? Of course he could, and be far more. But to lead the line for Manchester United is another thing in itself. Šeško is a far more accomplished player. He's way more two-footed and he's way more clinical. Now, he's 22.
Yeah,
they're the same age,
know, that's
right?
true.
But he's way ahead of where Rasmus Højlund is, and Højlund could become a great player. I'll say a player that would be in a Premier League team a few years down the line. I just think if Manchester United as a football club are going to move forward, they can't afford to have trialists, if you like, even though he's been because in a way it was a 70 million bid for potential.
Yes.
But it's never got there. The potential's never been seen to a level where the fans are absolutely behind him. The fans have been amazing at Old Trafford, like they would be for a young lad given a chance, because they understand how much pressure's on his shoulders to lead that line. But he's also had the problem, there's no one really challenging him as well.
Yeah.
He's had no one to lift his levels of saying he's by far our number one. No. You've got to battle against him.
But there's Kevin Hatchard saying with Šeško, you've got to be patient. So we can't.
Well,
I know we always want transfers to work in the sense of they hit the ground running, but there could still be an element of he might not be as impactful as you hope. I think straight away.
Well, he's 6'4" and he's 2-footed.
Yeah.
Okay. And with that, he can ping the balls with both feet. And I've seen him get a lot of goals, not only in European competitions as well, but also for Leipzig. He's got lots of different types of goals. It's hard to answer on transfers because, like I say always, there's never a guarantee that anybody's going to work. But what I do know, he's a far more accomplished striker that's achieved a lot more for club and country. Yeah. And I think there's a hell of a player in there. And that's why Newcastle wanted him, and that's why Manchester United wanted him. And United have won that race.
All right, then. It's expected that Šeško will be presented at Old Trafford today for that Fiorentina friendly. Now, coming up in the next hour, we're going to discuss Coventry versus Hull in more detail, which is live on talkSPORT 2 with former Championship midfielder Darren Ambrose. But up next, we'll be focusing on Darwin Nunez and his move to the Saudi Pro League with a man who is in the know out in the Middle East. That's commentator Joe Morrison. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT with NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day. Find out more at nordvpn.com/talksport.
There's a lot of talk about the independent football regulator. Some people love the sound of it, others don't. But what actually is it? And is it going to be any good for the game? In simple terms, it'll be an organisation not controlled by the Premier League, the EFL or the government, which will make sure all clubs are financially stable and don't rip off the fans. The aim is to make sure what happened to Bury, Derby and Reading doesn't happen again. Now, a significant reason clubs go under is because of dodgy owners financially mismanaging the club and running it into the ground. But in theory, these should be a thing of the past with the new regulator. They'll be able to use data from the National Crime Agency to perform stronger fit and proper persons tests and can even force owners to give up their stake in a club, which for certain supporters might be a welcome relief. It's likely good news for the EFL. The tension between them and the Premier League over a fair financial deal has been increasing in recent years. As it stands, talks have broken down. The Premier League backed out of recent negotiations, but the regulator will have the power to force through a deal, meaning more money for clubs lower down the pyramid. Now, this might sound simple, but in reality there's concerns this will open a legal can of worms, which could result in messy court cases involving the Premier League and the regulator. Parachute payments will be brought under the control of the regulator too. If they reduce them, it could mean a wider variety of clubs securing promotion to the top flight, but critics reckon it'll just mean the gap between the Premier League and EFL actually widens, as promoted clubs won't get as much money, which should normally be used to buy better players so they can compete. And current Premier League clubs have said if there were no parachute payments, they'd actually invest less, which would harm the quality of the top flight. And if clubs don't invest, then you'll get exactly what the EFL don't want, which is the same three clubs going down every year. And remember when Cardiff's owners changed the club's colours and badge? Well, in future, fans will have to approve any major changes to their club's heritage. Now, that might all sound great, but do we really need it? Some say the downfall of Reading and Bury is an exception, not the rule. So as a whole, the most successful footballing pyramid in world football doesn't need regulation. They say it scares investors who can help grow the game. If those investors go elsewhere, well, the Premier League may no longer be the destination for the best players in the world. And others, well, they just don't trust politicians to appoint truly independent people to regulate our game.
Good morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Thank you very much for joining us this Saturday morning. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me is the former Chelsea striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Oh, what a day we have in store for you. We're going to be talking about what is next for this Manchester City winger.
Jack Grealish will be looking at this season as a really important season to get back on track, but also to get back in the frame for an England call-up again.
Yeah,
because that's at the forefront of his mind as well.
Yeah, that's Everton legend Alan Stubbs on potential links with Jack Grealish and his former club too. The rest of the Championship kicks off today after this happened in the season opener between Birmingham and Ipswich last night.
Ipswich have a penalty in stoppage time. George Hurst drills it down the middle and in.
That finished 1-1. We'll have more of that. Plus, talkSPORT is your home of the Championship. We will be bringing you 4 live and exclusive commentary matches today on this opening Saturday of the Championship season.
It's never over till it's over in the Championship. Are you ready for it? Fired into the bottom right-hand corner. It's 2-0 Southampton. It's in! It's in! Ipswich are level! Palmer checks onto his right and scores a brilliant goal back for Sheffield United. The Championship can't be beaten. Wonderful goal from Abdul Fattah, his second of the night. Leicester's third. Sakamoto up against Stilling Jr. Gets the cross in left-footed. Radoni! Coventry lead! Robbie! You just can never sit comfortably in the Championship. The ball inside the area, and Stansfield does it again.
What we're trying to accomplish is all about what you're doing today, not about what you did 2 years ago or 5 years ago. It's about what you do today.
What a strike! Ollie Rathbone sends the racecourse into raptures. You just never know which twist any game is going to turn next.
Yeah, we've got a bumper day then of Championship football to come here on the talkSPORT network. Here on talkSPORT this lunchtime, we're at St Mary's for Southampton against Wrexham. That one kicking off at 12:30, which is exactly the same kickoff time on talkSPORT 2 for Coventry against Hull. Then there's more action to bring you on talkSPORT 2 with the 3 o'clock game from the Hawthorns as West Brom face Blackburn. And then later on this evening, back on talkSPORT 2 again at 5:30, it's Sheffield United against Bristol City in a rematch of the playoff semi-final from last season. And don't forget, in between all of that, from 2:30, Adrian Durham is back for GameDay Live, keeping you up to date with all of the 3 o'clock kickoffs up and down the land. That's got you covered. Right. We'll have more on the Championship and the build-up to its return, but let's now concentrate on Darwin Nunez's future. He has agreed a £46 million deal, so reports suggest, to Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia, bringing to an end a 3-season spell at Anfield in which he scored 40 goals in 143 games. It's been a bit of a divisive figure, I think it's fair to say, on Merseyside, with fans often being frustrated by his unfulfilled potential. Would that be fair, Cass? Very quickly on that.
I think that's a fair reflection of what he actually achieved at Anfield, because the fans loved him.
Yeah.
And again, I talked earlier about being backed as a player, where the fans, with Rasmus Højlund being, really Man United faithful, were so behind him. It's exactly the same at Anfield. With Darwin, they wanted him to do really well, as in knowing he's having an indifferent time. I looked at his league form, because I know you can go across all boards of, the bread and butter is your Premier League form. Of course, you have to play well at all different competitions. But what I noticed was a standout feature of 49 starts now, right? 46 on the bench. So he's come on. So basically, Jurgen Klopp and Arne Slot have looked at him and gone, I can't know whether I can play him or not.
Yes.
So when you have 49 you start games and 46 you started as sub, that's telling you that he's really a squad player. They've paid £85 million for a player that ended up being a squad player over his duration of his time at Anfield, certainly in the Premier League. Yeah. And his goal return was 25 Premier League goals, at that time. So it's nearly 1 in 4. If you add the two numbers of from starts to being on the bench, it's 95 games. He scored 25 goals. So it's nearly a 1 in 4, which is, for let's get this right, a very high-scoring team.
Yeah.
This isn't a team that struggled to get goals.
Well, let's get more on all this. I'm pleased to say joining us to talk... Yeah, I know, I said quickly. Crikey. Joining us to add more to this story then is Saudi Pro League commentator Joe Morrison. Joe, how are you today?
Morning,
Hi, Joe.
Morning. How are you at talkSPORT Towers?
Yeah, we're good.
Well, thank
I
you.
rambled on a bit there, Joe, but from your perspective of Darwin going, because he didn't foul at Liverpool, but he wasn't a huge success, so he sort of fell in the middle to some degree.
Yeah, I think what you said was absolutely right, Tony. And for him, it's a fresh start, isn't it? Let's see something different. Will he be in Saudi Arabia this time next year? I'm not so sure, but we can discuss that a little bit more, I think, later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's an interesting point that you make, because there are a lot of people, when this was suggested that he could be going to Saudi Arabia, that at just 26, it seemed a little bit early maybe to be going there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, put it this way, this Saudi Arabian League and the Saudi Pro League is very different to what it was a few years ago, when it was always foreign players that were over the hill, let's call it that, at the back ends of their career, the sunset of their career. Now they're taking a lot more players that are much younger. I mean, John Duran is a youngster who went from Aston Villa. Yes, it hasn't lasted, but it's a different profile of players that are going to the Saudi Pro League now than there was in the past. So it is a little bit different, Natalie.
Yeah, it's a. I remember when Oscar went to China with Chelsea, and he ended up staying 7-8 years. But it doesn't feel like a player, mate, look, Ronaldo could stay there quite a number of years because he's playing into his 40s. But is there longevity in going to Saudi Arabia, do you think?
There can be if you want it to be. I mean, there's a number of players that have been there for donkey's years. Abdurazak Hamdullah, the famous Egyptian striker, he's been there a long, long time. I think it's over 10 years. Idian Igalo, the Nigerian, he's been there, I think, possibly the best part of a decade as well. So they can stay a long time, but it depends what they want. You know, sometimes it's lifestyle. Obviously, everyone talks about the money in the Saudi Pro League. What is it? What is it that ticks the boxes of the individual? That's the question, isn't it?
Joe, just on the money, is it grossly exaggerated on a degree? Because obviously there are certain individuals are being given the absolute crown jewels.
No, not exactly. I mean, look, the Saudi knows that it has to pay a premium to attract players to the Saudi Pro League. It's this reinvention since Ronaldo has come. The Saudi Pro League has been around for years, but it has been given a reinvention. The marketing of it is completely different. I was speaking to friends just a couple of days ago who were on holiday in Madeira, which of course is the birthplace of Ronaldo. And they say everywhere you go, they're selling Al Nassr shirts, not Real Madrid shirts that he was at, or Juventus shirts that he was at, or even Manchester United shirts. They're selling Al Nassr shirts. So it's a different kind of thing now. But yes, the money is accurate. What I'm a little bit in the dark about, guys, is will there be some creative accounting where Darwin Nunez comes to the Saudi Pro League and is possibly loaned back to one of the PIF clubs, and we all know who that is.
Someone? Are you talking about a club that might be losing their star striker? By any chance?
I'm talking about my beloved Newcastle.
Yes, I thought there was a tone there in your voice, an accent I could pick up there, Joe. Before we perhaps talk a little bit more about that, in terms of Al Hilal, they were runners-up, weren't they, last year in the Saudi Pro League? And they've got a whole host of, ex-Premier League talents, haven't they, in that team?
Yeah, they have. I mean, Mitrovic obviously is the standout player who surprised everyone, including myself, by performing way better than Neymar, who was the big marquee signing. But I think what people don't understand about the Saudi Pro League is the PIF-owned clubs, of which there are 6, if I'm not mistaken. This is in the Saudi League itself. Their players go through what's called a PACE committee. So it's the Player Acquisition Committee for Excellence, I think is the full title. So basically what the clubs do is they say, we need a striker, or we need a star striker, we need a star central defender. And that goes into a pot at the PACE committee. And then they go scouting around the world, or Europe in particular, and say who would fit the profile of those clubs. So Simone Inzaghi obviously came in as the new coach for Hilal. He'll have said, look, this is what we need, a winger in the case of Nunez. And will have said, I want this kind of caliber player, this style of player. And then the PACE committee would have then started the negotiations for Nunez in particular. So that's kind of how it works, which is a little bit different to obviously what you expect from other leagues. That's not how it works elsewhere.
Joe, one issue that's come up is the PIF, which would obviously help Liverpool out. And obviously, again, going into Isaac, who's rumoured to go from Newcastle. I'm sure you're going to be very unhappy about that, to Liverpool. How does this all get involved, embroiled?
In what way exactly, Tony?
Well, how it's funded, because you look at Nunez going one way, and then you know that, like you said, he could be loaned out.
Right. But there's also that element, it feels as though like PIF are helping Liverpool maybe by doing this.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the accounting world. You'd have to speak to someone possibly like Kieran Maguire who might know more about this. But it is, I don't fully understand how it all works. Now, obviously, PSR definitely affects transfer fees, but it also affects wages as well. So that's why I mentioned the loan aspect, because one club can loan a player to another club and, fund part of the wages. So that would get you round that aspect of PSR, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So how it all fits together as a jigsaw, I really don't know. I think there's a lot of creative accounting going on.
Well, I was going to say, it sounds everything either be accountants or legal.
Because, yes, exactly. Because there's one thing that's absolutely for sure. PIF in particular will not be happy if Newcastle United finish this transfer window, let's call it empty-handed, so to speak. I know they've already made signings, Newcastle United, but in the grand scheme of things, they will not be happy.
Yeah. Which is why, though, it does seem a bit weird. And look, at the end of the day, they've got a number of clubs, so they've got to support each club in the best way that they can. But it just feels a bit weird that you're taking a player from Liverpool to a PIF-owned club to then perhaps open the door to Alexander Isak to move to Liverpool when, Newcastle are desperate to hold on to him.
Natalie, you're absolutely right. And it boils my brain on a daily basis.
I bet it does.
Because you know what? It's one of the most common questions that I've been asked of late for obvious reasons with Alexander Isak, because a lot of my friends, Newcastle fans, of course, I'm a Newcastle fan, and they're saying, well, if it's wages, why can't PIF do something more? And I'm thinking, actually, you've got a point. How could they do something more?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, listen, Joe, it's been brilliant to chat to you. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Cheers, Joe. Bye-bye.
That's Joe Morrison then joining us to run us through the very ation on the Darwin Nunez situation, which it looks as though is edging ever closer to moving
Murder
out.
a mystery story, isn't it? Like, you never quite... there seems to be loopholes that can be exposed quite easily in football. And there's always someone with a fresh idea, isn't there?
Well, that was where we were talking about for a long time, Chelsea's extraordinary long-term deals, but that's because it helps the PSR.
Training grounds.
Well, yeah.
Hotels.
Selling the women's team to another of your company, all that sort of stuff. Coming up, we're going to look ahead to the big stories in the back pages of the papers today, and we'll hear from you about your journeys today, where you're heading to, what games you're going to, who you're with, perhaps. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT with NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day. Find out more at nordvpn.com/talksport. morning, this is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. We are live on your radio. We are live on YouTube and your smart TV as well, with a man who is yet to serve his 2-game international ban, Tony Cascarino, who is with me, Natalie Sawyer. Before we get to a couple of stories we wanted to highlight in the papers today, you've all been getting in touch with the journeys that you are making today on what is a busy day of EFL action and more as well. For example, we have had this. My local team, and we did mention this one actually, National League Hartlepool fans will be on their way to Yeovil in what will be a 652-mile round trip. Wow. Claire and Jerry are travelling from Salisbury up to Everton for the friendly today. So that's a round trip probably of around 480 miles. This one comes in suggesting that 7 Plymouth Argyle fans, including the Pie Father, I wonder why he's the Pie Father, are off to Bolton on a 10-hour round trip. 1,500 tickets sold. The Green Army, Tom Cleverley's Green Army, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And another Plymouth fan, Arlo, left at 6 o'clock to make the trip up to Bolton. So thank you very much. Keep them coming in to us. I will continue to read them out. I know loads of you are getting in touch already, so I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much.
Round trip Olympics.
That's it.
That's what it is.
That's what we want to hear about this morning then. Where you're going, who you're going with. Perhaps you're taking someone to their first game as well. It's always nice to hear your stories because you certainly add to the show. Oh, and by the way, I had a message on X from someone called Fearless in Devotion. Quite like that. Wrexham fan.
Yeah.
Where you had, when we were speaking to Andy Gilpin, who's on one of the Wrexham fan coaches, you'd said you don't look too happy when you were speaking to him. According to Fearless in Devotion, he says that's because it wasn't even 7 o'clock in the morning and we were heading in a northerly direction for Southampton away. I think they're all probably thinking, are we going?
Where are we going?
Way? What's going on?
Yeah,
so hopefully they're on the right track now. Right, let's get to the papers.
Yeah, but there's a couple...
Mention Southampton.
Yeah, Southampton. Well, there's a couple of nice pieces. One for the time of Peter Ratzler and Jason Burt in the Telegraph, who it's all about Will Steele. Yes. And his career, and, you know, he's still so young. Yeah, he's 32 years old. And it's just both pieces are really nice because they talk about one of the reasons why he come, because his partner, Emma Saunders, who works at Sky, she'd had health issues. So he wanted to come back to England and manage in England. And that was one of the things he was coming back to. And it's a great opportunity. He had an opportunity to go back to Sunderland. He said, but actually Southampton has fitted. And then I started looking at his career now. Obviously, I know a bit because he went to France and he was manager at Reims and Lens. But you actually look at the numbers now. He was an assistant in Belgium's top flight standard for standardly age 22. 22.
Very young coaching career.
Yeah, as a coach. And then he was coach of a second division team in Belgium at 24. And then he was a professional coach at 30. So you imagine, you think about how young sometimes people can be.
Yeah.
And by the way, without underestimating how well he did, at Reims, have I told you Reims is it's like a non-league team?
Right.
It's a Champagne region. It's a beautiful part of France, an hour and a half from Paris. It's a very small club that they were paying fines at one time because he didn't have all his badges. So every game he played, Reims got fined £21,000 sterling.
Gosh.
But he went through the system. It's a really strict coaching system. But then he took him back. I'll tell you what's funny to me now, because I'm reading the article and I thought, fair play to him. He's doing all these coaching sessions in French. He's doing brilliant. And I never knew he actually was brought up in Belgium. I didn't know that.
Yeah. No.
And his brothers were his coaches on his coaching staff as well. And he talks about that period. And, of course, I'm giving him all this credit and thinking, he's done so well to learn a language so quickly. And he actually was French speaking and obviously English. But he talks about being ginger in Belgium, which is quite funny because he said it was quite rare to see ginger people and speak English in Belgium. And it was just he talks about his video gaming because he's only 32. So you sort of think he loves video game, loves cricket. But not as much as his love for Southampton. The biggest thing that Southampton fans are going to want to know is one thing that Will Steele did, and I saw his Rants team play, incredibly organised.
Yeah.
Absolute final details.
Okay, so a couple of stories on him if you want to learn a little bit more about Will Still in the papers today. I'm going to take you to the Telegraph very quickly, which Jason Burt has written in an interview that he has had with another sort of relatively new manager, which is Robbie Savage. Now, he is currently still undergoing some of his coaching badges. He's started his A-licence coaching course, or he will be doing that next month. And it's a really interesting piece, actually. He's now the Forest Green Rovers manager after, obviously, a successful playing career and a media career too. Let's not forget he was a captain 4 times of a Premier League club, for example, or 4 Premier League clubs. Forest Green Rovers, they kick off their National League campaign away to Solihull Moors today. And it's a really interesting piece because it's actually talking about how he's had to kind of go through a lot of self-doubt, but also a lot of criticism from everywhere, basically. And how he's had to kind of sometimes say to himself, do you know what? I'm all right. The headline says, yes, I am awesome and I shouldn't be afraid to say it, which sounds arrogant, but it's not. What happened was at Forest Green Rovers, he's met up with a company called the Limitless Movement, which is a motivational company. And they had come into Forest Green Rovers, had a little meeting with the squad of around 30 players and staff. And they asked a simple question: stand up if you think you're awesome. Nobody stood up. People wanted to stand, but nobody would stand up. Eventually, one player stood up. And this player, Laurent Mendy, was a defender he brought in to Forest Green from Macclesfield as well, who was actually working in the kitchen as a pot washer when he was at Macclesfield and now is playing professional football. And Robbie Savage's point is that's why he stood up, because he's making something of his career now. You know, he's shown everyone what he was doing and now is able to be a professional footballer. So that's why he was saying it was great that he stood up. And he said, I wish I had stood up to just say, I'm not arrogant, but I am awesome because look what I've achieved in my career and look what I hopefully will achieve. Well, and I do stress that it's not an arrogant thing. It's just a self-belief thing. Yeah. But so many of us have doubts about our abilities. Yeah. And I think that's great what that motivational company were trying to get out of everyone involved.
I think we are quite guilty of being very humble. You were brought up in a certain generation where being humble and not being, to have an ego that's so big, I think you can argue both cases. But it's look, Robbie's doing a great thing. He's doing something he loves, he's been involved in for a long time. And if he's doing really well, which he clearly has done, I think Mark Bowen is above him.
He's director of football at Forest Green, indeed. Yeah. And very quickly, of course, in his first managerial job, he got Macclesfield promoted. And he said, look, I could have stayed at Macclesfield for years and years and years because he knows the owner, for example, but he just wanted to challenge himself. Had met Dale Vince, the Forest Green Rovers owner, many years ago with his son playing at Forest Green Rovers at the time. And he just wanted that new challenge. So that's why he's now at Forest Green.
Fair play to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. On the way next, we'll be discussing the future of Jack Grealish. Could he be making a move to Everton? Good morning. Thank you very much for joining in here on the Weekend Sports Breakfast with the former Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino, who is with me, Natalie Sawyer. And we've just had a message in that I just want to read out. And it's very poignant and very true, because we are talking about a lot of games taking place today, with the Championship kicking off this weekend. We've had Leagues 1 and 2 kick off last weekend. Scottish football, there's non-league football kicking off this weekend too. But spare a thought for Morecambe, which is what this message is talking about. Please can you give a mention to the many Morecambe fans who are travelling to Bury today to watch Bury versus Newcastle Town in the Northern Premier League West. We should all be going to our home game against Boston in the National League. However, due to the club sale not being facilitated by the owner, Bury have invited us to go to their game free of charge in a show of solidarity. Big shout out to Bury FC. And absolutely, our thoughts do go out to all of those involved at Morecambe, because it is heartbreaking to see a season begin and you don't even know what's happening with your club.
No.
And lovely to see Bury FC, as you mentioned, reaching out and extending their sort of warm welcome to you in this game, and hopefully something can happen with Morecambe and we'll have a resolution, and fingers crossed there will be a club still to support at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, just wanted to read that one out, and we will continue to read your messages as well throughout the show, but we're going to concentrate right now on Jack Grealish and Everton in particular, because it looks as though David Moyes is looking to revive the Englishman's career. talkSPORT understands Everton are exploring a potential move for Jack Grealish, with manager Moyes identifying the Manchester City winger as someone who could inject creativity and drive into the Toffees' attack. Grealish has recently struggled for form and consistency, and at 29 he needs a fresh start to reinvigorate his career, especially when you consider there is a World Cup coming up next year. Seemingly frozen out at Manchester City, didn't make their Club World Cup squad this summer, wasn't even involved in the FA Cup in so much as he was on the bench, but wasn't even called upon when they were losing that game to Crystal Palace. And yeah, Cass, it does feel as though it's coming to an end at Manchester City for him. But the question is, Will they let him go out on loan, as it seems to be the suggestion what they want to do? But they're expecting, again, so sources are saying, that whoever it is, and it's Everton that seem to be in this conversation right now, will have to pay his wages in full.
Yeah.
It's a hefty amount.
I mean, some of it's out of Jack's control.
Yes.
Look, if you look at him, he was the first English £100 million player. He was left out last summer of Gareth Southgate's European team. The squad, the 22, he was left out, and he found himself on the bench way too often last year. And Doku was being used more than him, especially on the left side. Savinho on the other side. They were looking for more pace, more directness, and Jack suffered with limited time on the pitch and got left out in some very big matches, and sometimes didn't make the squad.
Yeah,
and you've gone from the main man to a bit part player, and that will hurt Jack. Because he'll probably look at it and think, I've joined here for this big fee. Yes, I've won loads of trophies and it's been a real successful journey. But where I am today is not knowing how much football I'm going to play this season. So he has no option. He has to go and play football. And as soon as I heard Everton, and initially it was Tottenham, which is obviously great stadium again, and would really lift him in his, just a new drive, reignite him in some way. I think Everton would do the same if it was to be Everton. That new stadium, if he could get there and play regularly, and working for two managers. If you looked at Thomas Frank who was supposedly interested in Jack Grealish, but even same ways David Moyes, managers who I think get more out of players, can turn their careers around, and if it was a viable option, I think it'd be a great move for him to go to Everton.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, on Drive earlier this week, Gabby Agbonlahor suggested a move to Merseyside would be good for his mate.
He should look at it as it's a World Cup year. Can I go on loan somewhere where the team's going to play to my strengths? That's what I'd be saying if I was him. Is David Moyes going to create a squad of players who've got an exciting player, NDI, on the left-hand side? A team where I'm going to play in that number 10 position or on the left, and I'm going to enjoy my football. I'm going to get my goals and assists. And then you look at the end of next year, still have a year left in Manchester City, and say, does that open the door for a bigger move?
Like I said, at the end of the day, the wage issue is going to be a problem. £300,000 a week is the reported wage that he is on. And if City are pushing for Everton, or if it's Tottenham, to pay that, I mean, that blows a lot of your transfer kitty, doesn't it, out the window?
You can do, but there's ways of negotiating now.
Yeah, of course.
You can make an appearance, and if you're successful, a loan fee can be involved. There's lots of ways of making it happen.
But should an Everton go all out for Jack Grealish?
If David Moyes really wants him and believes he's going to do a great job and enhance Everton's chances of not being a team fighting relegation, but a team that's going to be challenging for a European spot, you're going to this fabulous new stadium with an idea of, and David Moyes admitted himself now, he doesn't want a relegation battle. So he's going, when he signed Dewsbury Hall in midweek, that was the intent of signing another exciting player that is technically superb. OK, he didn't make Chelsea's squad on a regular basis. I say squad, but he didn't make their first 11 very often. But he's a talented lad. And if David Moyes has got this new idea, I would see it as a golden opportunity. Really would. Everton's a great football club.
Oh, it is. It is. And yesterday on Breakfast, the former Everton captain Alan Stubbs joined the show and spoke about a little bit of career advice he gave Jack on a night out.
I had a night out with Jack in the summer over in Marbella. And
did you have a pen on you? Did you have a pen on you, Hal?
I tried my best to get him to Everton. I was telling him how much he'd be loved. He'd be an idol at Everton. Their fans would really take to him. And I just think from an Everton point of view, as you're just saying there, I think Jack Grealish needs to be loved again. I think he needs to start enjoying his football. And that's not to say anything about Man City. What he's done, and he's gone there, he's won titles, he's won trophies, but he's not been the same Jack Grealish that we've seen at Villa, where he had the freedom to go and be himself. And I think David Moyes would give him that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that, didn't we, at Manchester City, slightly more restricted in the role that he could play. Do you think then if, let's say it's David Moyes and Everton that he goes for, that he will be given a bit more of a bit?
I don't think David let him run riot. I think he'll be like, David's a clever manager how he sets teams up. He doesn't want his team easily beaten.
Yeah.
But what he will do is say, is when we can get it to you, we want you to express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jack has definitely lost a tad of pace, but then most players who are sitting on benches now.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that gets frustrated, we all think, oh, they've lost a yard they've lost half a yard. But sometimes just not playing football, you're just slightly off the pace of the game. Raheem Sterling's, and he's 30. Last year, Nat, he, without playing football, got poorer because he didn't look up to speed for Arsenal when he appeared for them.
As we mentioned, Tottenham, though, another team may be looking at him, especially when you consider the injury to James Maddison, that ACL injury that he's picked up in that draw against Newcastle in pre-season. We know they're after sort of a number 10 when they were trying to go for Morgan Gibbs-White. That move hasn't happened, as we know, now that he's signed a new deal at Nottingham Forest. So could you see Jack Grealish moving to Tottenham?
I think there's two. If they were two viable options, they're two terrific ones.
Yeah.
Both of them.
And we've heard
great options.
Well, we've heard as well how there's a suggestion that he needs to be loved. I think David Moyes would love him, and I think Thomas Frank would do exactly the same. When I say love, I'm talking about arms around the shoulder, you know, really caring for their players.
Yeah, do you
Both
know
those
what?
managers
as well, Nat, they might see slightly different roles for him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily a winger, but more tucked in, inside forward that used to be around many years ago. I think you'd look at Jack, if you can just, if he's, how would he not be excited about having two clubs like Tottenham and Everton being interested to take him? And I think you'd even sacrifice some of your own money. I don't know how it works because I don't know how it works with your wages, whether you could say, well, look, I'll take some sort of cut. I don't know how that works with your contracts because obviously the PFA are involved. I'm not sure how legit, but he could certainly push for it and make it happen. And if he loses a bit of money, so what? Along the way, so what?
Yeah. It's one to look out for in this summer transfer window, which doesn't close until September the 1st. And will Jack Grealish be playing elsewhere? We will find out during the course of this window. Quickly want to read this message. I'm currently driving from Cornwall to North London to see my beloved Truro City play their first game of the season against Wealdstone. Never has there been a Cornish team as high up as the National League, so today is history for us. We start the season with a potential relegation 6-pointer. Wish us all the best. Great show as always. That's Harry from Truro. Yes, Truro, of course. In the National League. Wow, that's an exciting story and hopefully an exciting season to come as well. So, Harry, thank you very much. If you want to send in a message, 81089 is the text number. You can WhatsApp us on 0371722 3344 and you can leave us a voice note on there too. Coming up next, we'll continue our build-up to the Championship commentaries coming your way today on the talkSPORT network. And next, we're going to be joined by the former Newcastle, Ipswich and Palace midfielder Darren Ambrose as we look ahead to Coventry versus Hull this lunchtime. morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Thank you very much for tuning in to us this Saturday morning. With me is a man who's happy to give Elton John a run for his money when it comes to spectacles. That's Tony Cascarino. Slightly more subdued with the brown.
Yeah.
Not as poppy as your blue and purple.
No, I just decided to have a little bit of a change up today.
Yeah. A bit more autumnal, I would say. Yeah, but it's not. It's still the summer.
Well, it was dark this morning. We're now losing minutes. It's heading towards...
I know, don't.
The doom and gloom of winter.
Let's not think about that just yet. It is Tony Cascarino who's alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. Here are some of your headlines today. Pep Guardiola has indicated that Manchester City might not see a fully fit Rodri until mid-September after he suffered a setback to his recovery from injury. Nicholas Jackson was left out of Chelsea's squad to face Bayer Leverkusen yesterday after reportedly agreeing with the club that he can leave this summer. And it's been a busy week on talkSPORT.com, so here's talkSPORT's Sean O'Brien with what's been trending online.
Lots happening over on talkSPORT.com, so let's start in the world of transfers, where our dedicated football reporters Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs are bringing you all the latest news first and fast. Head over to our live blog where we'll bring you up to speed on Alexander Isak, Alejandro Garnacho, Benjamin Šeško and much more. Elsewhere in football, you can watch talkSPORT's exclusive interview with Lionesses hero Hannah Hampton, who revealed a previously untold use of the dark arts in England's shootout victory over Spain. And in the EFL, find out which Championship veteran announced his retirement just one day before his season was due to begin. That's all over on talkSPORT.com.
Sean, thank you very much. Yeah, talkSPORT.com and the destination for all of those stories and more too. We are counting down to the start of this championship season. Well, in fact, it got underway last night, didn't it? Who will walk away with promotion? Let's get some predictions from the talkSPORT team.
Hello there, I'm Ian Danter, talkSPORT EFL commentator. So my championship winner for the season has to be Ipswich Town. I know it's a fairly straightforward thing to say that a relegated side's got a good chance of going straight back up. But in Ipswich's case, a lot of that squad that won promotion from the championship is still there, plus some real quality that's been added.
Smollings hits it through the legs of Edison, and it's in! What a start for Ipswich Town!
My pick for championship winners at Ipswich Town. The manager, Kieran McKenna, is outstanding. Just can't see them failing to bounce back at the first attempt.
Right, prediction times. And first, I'm going to start with my championship winners, and that will be my former club, Ipswich Town. I know they struggled a little bit last season. I just feel they could have a great season and bounce back immediately to the Premier League.
And there it goes! Ipswich Town are back in the Premier League!
My championship winners are Sheffield United. I think Ruben Selles coming through the door as manager. Very, very clear identity. Fantastic football philosophy as well.
Goes right to Harmer into the penalty area, shooting and scoring. A lightning break from Sheffield United.
And I just feel that the new manager coming in, that hangover of missing out in the playoffs, they go a step further this season.
All right, the majority there backing Ipswich to get the business done in the Championship this season, but Chris Iwelumo backing Sheffield United. Any ideas, Cass, yourself?
Just on Sheffield, I think they've already sold about 28 million in players. Lost a big centre-half, Souza. Kiefer Moore's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure they've spent anything at the moment. So I'm not so confident on them.
Okay.
Harmer's still there.
Yeah,
he might be the next out the door, but so far not so much investment. I do like Ipswich. I think they're a really well-run club. That they didn't show a particularly good performance last night, but we're not judging on one game. But yeah, I still think that there's a lot of just excitement about Ipswich anyway. Even though they went down, I still think they're going to get their 28,000 watch them every week.
Mm-hmm.
Watching last night, I thought Birmingham was really good.
Yeah,
with Stanfield up front, Kiego up front alongside him. They're going to be decent again.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's concentrate then very much on the Championship. And just quickly on this message, Ian's been in touch, who is a Coventry season ticket holder living in Vienne, France. Vienne?
Vienne,
yes. Flew from Poitiers yesterday.
Poitiers, yeah.
Yeah. Picking up my son and granddaughter in Hoddesdon and to drive to the Coventry game. He says, mad or dedicated? I'm going to go with dedicated. Yeah. No, well, let's say dedicated.
No, That's very dedicated.
Well, we want to talk about the Coventry game. It's a 12:30 kickoff live on talkSPORT. An intriguing opening game for Frank Lampard's side, taking on a Hull team who are under a transfer embargo, under a new manager as well. I'm pleased to say, joining us to look ahead to it, who'll be part of our commentary team for this one on talkSPORT 2, is the former Ipswich Palace and Newcastle midfielder Darren Ambrose. Darren, good morning. How are you doing?
Hi, Darren.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Kaz. Good morning, Nat. Nat, I must say, you must be due a holiday now. We've been working every day for the last 200 days. It's incredible.
Do you know what? My body, my mind, everything feels it. But after tomorrow's show, I'm going on holidays. That's a good thing.
I'm carrying Nat this weekend.
Good, you deserve it.
No, Nat is actually doing a fine job. She even went to Brentford last night.
I went to Brentford last night, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Let's move on quickly. Before we get to the Coventry Hull game, you've predicted Ipswich to go up. I know you can't judge them on one game, but you're still convinced after last night?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Look, I agree with Cass. It wasn't a great performance by Ipswich. There's certainly room for improvement. You know what it was? It was a battling performance, and I think it just showed that the mentality, and we spoke about mentality when I was on with you on SportsPart the other night, Nat, and mentality needs to change in the players, because they only won 4 games last season. They won 28 games, I think, the last time they were in the Championship. So they've certainly got a squad good enough to go up. They've got the likes of Leif Davies, Jack Clark, Connor Chaplin, Sammy Smodics, of course, all been very successful at this level. So I still believe they've got enough. I think, again, last night, 1-1. I do think Birmingham looked great, but you can't predict the Championship. It's an incredible league. I was asked the other day, is it the best league in the world? In terms of quality, I'd say no. You'd have to say no. But competitiveness, you can't call. I'm looking through the fixtures today. I don't think you can call any one of the games that one team is a lot more. Is going to dominate that game more than the other. It's such a good league. 19 of the teams have played in the Premier League this season throughout their careers, and the other 5 are desperate to play in the Premier League. So it's an amazing league to be involved in. I'm buzzing to just be going up there today. But yeah, I'm still back in Ipswich.
Yeah. Darren, it's quite a strange dynamic that's been going on in the Championship this season, because there are some clubs that have obviously batted above their weight and they've challenged to get in playoffs. And, you take Middlesbrough, not really done much business. Sheffield United has sold a couple of players and not really much come in. Coventry haven't done a lot, and I'm sure Frank Lampard must have obviously thought that he's really happy with his squad. But there's quite a number of clubs that are not actually doing too much business, even though they're trying to get to the holy grail of the Premier League.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it is one of those that I do believe, and I think you'll agree with me, Cass, that you need to do business in this division. You need to improve your squad, because it's one of the toughest. It's one of the toughest divisions to get out of. We know that, whether it's automatic or via the playoffs. It's relentless. Tuesday, Saturday, week in, week out. You need a full squad committed. You need to look after your players. You need to get them ready, like we said, for this relentless fixture pile-up throughout the whole season. So I think the teams that have done business, that have brought in a few fresh players, are going to be the teams that are going to be up there fighting for promotion. And look, even Millwall went on a great run last season. I think they're one of the teams that have never played in the Premier League, so they'll be looking to try and change that. And,
yes, but the Premier League.
Well, it's the same league.
I know, but that's only what Darren said.
I got the first goal for Millwall in the top flight.
Oh boy, what are you on
there
today?
we go. I don't remember that.
No, not many people do, Darren.
But Darren, let's quickly talk about the game that you're working at, because you're talking about how important it is to get business done, strengthening your squad. Obviously, Hull can't do that with their transfer embargo. They can sign free agents, and I think Ollie McBurney has been brought in, taking on a Coventry side who will want to build on what they achieved incredibly last season under Frank Lampard. So, what are you expecting?
I'm expecting a tough opener for Coventry. I think, as you said, a fantastic run when Frank Lampard came in. I think there were 17 games without him last season, and they only won 4 of those. When he came in, 31 games, they won 16. So it was a great run under Frank Lampard. And kind of over the 2 legs, I felt that they should have and could have gone on and beaten Sunderland. In the end, Sunderland got the the victory and ended up going up to the Premier League. So he'll be disappointed in that. He'll look to go one better, Frank Lampard, this season. But as you said, with Hull, disappointing season, stayed up the last game of last season under that transfer embargo. I think late payments for Louis Barry, I think that's to do with it. But they're signing some experienced Championship players. Ollie McBurney, the goal scorer, we know what he's about. Semi Ajayi as well, he's come into the team. So I think it'll be a tough game opener for Coventry. I'm looking forward to it. I'm heading up there as soon as we end this. But I just feel Coventry might have a little bit too much for Hull, and I've probably tipped Coventry to be one that's definitely going to make playoffs this season.
All right, well, we look forward to that. Safe travels up to Coventry. Darren, thank you.
Cheers, Darren.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
You can tune into talkSPORT 2 this lunchtime then to hear Darren and the team as they bring you that Coventry-Hull game. OK, we're going to talk to talkSPORT's Scott Minto shortly, who is heading to St Mary's ahead of Southampton-Wrexham. And we'll discuss Ipswich with the former Premier League manager of the season, George Burley. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT with NordVPN. Get your talkSPORT exclusive offer today with 72% off a 2-year plan, an extra month and a £50 Amazon gift card for free. Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at nordvpn.com/talksport.
Let's be honest, we've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. This feel familiar?
That is an absolutely shocking decision.
They've got a case in that it was a bad decision.
It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top of football refereeing? Every referee starts with their county FA. It's a simple training course and you can take it as soon as you hit your 14th birthday. Once you've done that, you have to go through at least 11 hours of face-to-face training. You'll then graduate as a Level 7 official, which means you can take charge of county-level games. But hold your horses, there's still a long way to go to get to the Premier League. Your next step is to spend a year each at levels 6, 5 and 4. This covers the top of the amateur game. Only at level 3 do you start doing Northern Counties or Isthmian League level games, for example. If you've done this all quickly, you can reach level 2 and ref your first National League match after, I don't know, 6 years? After getting enough experience at that level, you can apply to be a referee in the EFL. There's an interview, people watching you do games, and then, if the EFL are happy, you'll be granted a level 1 licence to ref in games in League 2 and above. Now, they don't just say on you go to the Premier League, you have to work your way up through the divisions. Only after years of hard work and refereeing on cold Tuesday nights in Stoke can you be considered to do matches in some of Europe's very best stadiums. Now, who was the youngest to reach the very top? It was actually Michael Oliver. He refed his first Premier League match in 2010 at the tender age of just 25. So if you want to follow in his footsteps, crack on. It'll only take you roughly a decade, thousands of hours of work and an incredibly thick skin. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough for the top flight. That means there's not even a 1 in 1,000 chance you'll even make it in. Obviously, referees can make mistakes, but when you think about it, having a go at them is kind of like slating a brain surgeon.
This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it's the former Crock and Hill striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
We've got loads still to come on the show. Manchester United are due to announce the signing of RB Leipzig striker Benjamin Šeško. How will he get on at Old Trafford?
I still maintain there's a good player in there, absolutely, but I can see why United are bringing in a top-line striker. But, it is difficult to make that leap.
That means Newcastle have missed out on yet another summer transfer target. Where do they go from here?
They have to find a way to attract the best players, because that's where they are as a club. They're in the top competitions. They're at the top ends of the table. They have the fan base. They have the stadium. They have everything. They just need to be able to attract that top player to go to the next level.
That was Andros Townsend speaking, and we'll get Cass's thoughts on that later on in the show. And the rest of the Championship kicks off today and this weekend after this happened in the season opener between Birmingham and Ipswich.
Ipswich have a penalty in stoppage time. George Hurst drills it down the middle and in.
Yes, it was a 1-1 draw in the end then at St Andrews. At the start of the season, the Tractor Boys were the favourites for promotion, but they've had a tricky summer, some might say, with few outgoings, and there's still the future of Amari Hutchinson to be sorted. He wasn't involved in that game yesterday, but he seems to be a wanted man by a number of Premier League clubs. So, how does Kieran McKenna go about steadying the ship, and how much does last night's result change things? Let's talk to a man who certainly knows all about life as the Ipswich manager. In fact, he took them to 5th in the Premier League. It's a very good morning to George Burley. George, good morning. How are you doing today?
Yeah, great, thank you. A lovely sunny morning again. So, looking forward to the start of the new season.
Yeah, and what did you make, George, last night? Because I felt, and I said earlier in the show, that the referees, spoilt the game. I think he was a little bit too picky on quite a number of fouls, disallowed goal, then there was the penalty shout. But it was a tough encounter for Ipswich last night, wasn't it?
It was always going to be very difficult. You've got Birmingham newly promoted. The fans were right behind them. first game of the season, and you never know what to expect. You can do all your preparation, pre-season, you can win games, be undefeated, but when it kicks off, it's a very difficult game. Last night it was 100 miles an hour. There wasn't much football played. It was a bit more of a battle, and both teams come out with a bit of credit. Ipswich just hang in there and got the equaliser. And Birmingham will give out any team in the Championship a game at home. So it's going to be a difficult season for Ipswich, because everybody will be wanting to beat them. But nevertheless, it was a point for Ipswich, and we look forward to getting one or two players back. But all credit to Birmingham last night. I thought they battled away, and they showed that they'll hold their own in the Championship.
It's hard for Ipswich because obviously losing Delap was a big blow, and then Hutchinson's wasn't involved last night because there's speculation over his transfer. So do you think, after watching last night, that Kieran's going to have to probably add a little bit more to his forward line, George?
Yeah, I mean, he's got quite a few players out at the moment. They have got a strong squad, but no doubt I think he's been looking to add another striker to the squad. But they have got a very good squad in other departments, right through the way, and that's how they get promoted, because they've got strength and depth. But you just say another striker would add a little bit more quality to the team. But I think Kieran, the way pre-seasons went, he's got a number of excellent players still to come into that team. They didn't play their best last night, but got a point. But that's the type of league the Championship is. It's never easy away from home, and teams who have been in the Premiership and come back down never find it easy at the beginning of the season. But I think Kieran's happy with the squad, and if he can add one more player to it, I think that would be, it might make the difference of him being right up there all season.
There's still an amazing enthusiasm for Ipswich, and sellout crowds were in the last Championship last time round when they got promoted, and yes, last season relegated. But I'm sure Portman Road are going to be rocking again, George.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable the last couple of years with the fans. Every game's a sellout. Every game, at Portman Road, there's an excitement, there's a buzz about the place. Kieran's done a fabulous job. Last season, it was a very difficult, time as far as trying to, stay in there, getting the right squad. Very difficult league. But we've got a lot of young players who I'm sure will improve from last season. So, there's a lot of confidence in the club. There's a great atmosphere. And we think, we'll get it right again and get back into the Premiership next season.
Obviously, George, you were a manager for a very, very long time. How long does it take from the start of a season to, I don't know when, for everything to start clicking in your eyes?
Yeah, how long's a piece of string? Football's unpredictable. You can never say, yes, we're going to do this on a certain date, or we're going to win this game. Football's a game of habits in the training ground. You've got to get things right from the Monday morning and working with players. And Kieran's done a terrific job of improving players that have came to the club. So that's very important, trying to get your team better all the way through the season. But that's a challenge. That's what we love to do. And when you've got a following with the fans at Ipswich, it does have help. When you go out on the pitch, you think everybody's behind you. And that's what's helped us the last couple of years. So it is going to be a difficult season, which it always is if you get relegated down to the Championship. But there's a lot of confidence about the club. We've got great backers. We've got great people involved in the club. And there's a great atmosphere to try and help us get back to the Premiership, which is never easy.
Yeah, I mean, look, what you said earlier was spot on, George. With the fast, pace of the game, it was very dynamic in every area, and I found they trying to get Jack Clark on the ball was nearly impossible last night because he got hustled and bustled all the way through. Just couldn't make an impact, could he?
Yeah, I always feel when Jack's got the ball right in the touchline, he's very dangerous, running at people. But when he's inside a little bit, you say there's no space, and it's a very difficult position. You've got to be really strong with your back to goals. And when we can get Jack a bit wider, running at players, and I think that's when he's most dangerous. But it's like anything, it's just get the fine balance. It's never easy. You're trying to get the best out of all the players and whatever system suits them. Kieran's done that very well. And if you look at his record in the Championship, it's been phenomenal. So we're looking forward to it. We know it wasn't right last night. We know there's a lot of work to be done, but the heart was there. The battling, being able to get a point when you don't play well is very important as well. And we're looking forward to the season. There's a lot of clubs now. I felt last season the top three ran away with it. Your Leeds and your Burnleys and Sheffield United were way ahead in the Championship, and I don't think that's going to happen this season. I think things are going to be a lot tighter up the top. So certainly, I think it's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, very much so. Just before we let you go, George, how are things with you? Are you well?
Yeah, health is great now.
Great.
I'm still clear. I'm enjoying coming to the football games, getting plenty of golf in, and enjoying life. And as I say, I still love coming to watch my football.
Yeah, brilliant. Just stay away from Alan Brazil, George. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't need plenty of advice about that.
Yeah, you might.
Me and Al's had plenty encounters over the past.
I was going to say you might have learnt the hard way, but hey ho, you've learnt a lesson there. George, it's lovely to see you. Thank you.
Cheers, George. Bye bye.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Next up, we're going to bring you the latest odds from Coral, and a little later on we'll discuss more of what's to come in the EFL, I should say, with talkSPORT's very own Scott Minto joining us. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT with NordVPN. Get your talkSPORT exclusive offer today with 72% off a 2-year plan, an extra month, as well as a £50 Amazon gift card for free. Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at nordvpn.com/talksport. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT. We're live on your radio, YouTube and smart TV. It is a two-time Ligue 2 winner. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tony Cascarino?
Yeah.
We've never said that one before, have we?
No, twice, yeah.
That's
Nancy and Marseille. Marseille got promoted twice, but we stayed in the division.
Yes.
Yeah, we had
financial
issues.
Yeah.
They were paying me too much.
Moneybags Cass, as they called him. Tony Cascarino is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. Here are some of your headlines today. The Arsenal teenager Ethan Nwaneri has signed a new 5-year contract, which will keep him at the Premier League club until the summer of 2030. Chelsea have confirmed defender Levi Colwill has undergone successful surgery after suffering an anterior cruciate ligament injury. He will be out for between 6 to 9 months, Cass.
Fingers crossed. Rodri has been out over a year now, and he's still a month away, and there's been obviously little hiccups along along the way.
Yeah,
ACLs can be, some lads get back 9 months, even sometimes a bit before that. Just keep your fingers crossed for Levi Colwill, because it's a bad injury. It used to, not so long ago. In my first, when I first started playing football, you were finished.
I was going to say it's career ending. Yeah. So we're in a better place.
Injury.
But the sadness is, he was probably one of the names that would have been in Thomas Tuchel's squad, provided he had a good season. So,
well, he's battling now for the World Cup.
Yeah, well,
apart from obviously Chelsea, which is the club he's got to represent first. But there's a long journey ahead for Levi. But I'm sure he's in a good place to get the right surgery.
Yeah, I wish him the best in his recovery. And the Championship gets underway this weekend. Our presenters and pundits have been having their say on what they think is going to happen. So here's their ones to watch for this season, and have a little listen and see what you think.
The Championship player I'm most excited about seeing, well, I'm sorry to go route one here, but I've got to go with my club, Birmingham City, and our recent capture of Kyogo Furuhashi.
The player I'm most excited about watching in the Championship is Kwame Poku. He was sensational, really, for Peterborough United, and I think Queen's Park Rangers fans are going to love his dribbling skills and his creativity.
Cross into the box, Poku takes a touch! Oh, 3-1! Fantastic goal from Kwame Poku!
And at 23, he's getting better and better, and I think Kwame Poku is ready to take the Championship by storm.
Player to watch in the Championship, for me, Gustavo Hammer. For me, he brings everything. He controls, he creates for others, he brings some outstanding goals.
Played it short, Brooks has left it, Hammer right-footed efforts, deflected it in. It's 2-0.
If he can stay fit, they will be there or thereabouts. In my opinion, Sheffield United will go on and win the Championship, and Gustavo Hammer will be a massive, massive part of that.
All right, some of the names to look out for. Cassin, while we were sort of listening, you were picking out your player, and shucks, Wellemo's got him first.
Harmer, yeah. I mean, he was player of the season in the Championship last year. Outstanding footballer. I'm not even sure if they'll be able to keep him, Sheffield United, because there will be vultures hanging around looking at him. He's technically superb, and he can make a difference. I think one thing that he got substituted a lot last season.
Right.
Sometimes he just looked like he couldn't get to the 90-minute mark. And that's one thing that will go against him slightly. But then with bigger squads, you need to utilise, now you've got 7 subs.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter now if you've got a 60, because I've had this conversation where some players gas, they just don't have the energy to get through a game. Certain players you could look at that just don't get through 90 minutes or beyond. And Harmer is a little bit like that to me, but you don't really have to think about that too much now, because you can go, if he gives me 60 brilliant minutes, I can change. I can make a swap.
Yeah.
With 7 subs available.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
Yeah. So Gustavo Hammer is a player you're looking out for as well. Right. It's time for us to bring you the latest odds from Coral.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Coral, the home of the free-to-play Golden Rewards Shaker. 18 plus max 1 reward per player per selected Shaker Day. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. GambleAware.org.
That was rather funky, wasn't it? Dave Stevens, good morning.
Talking of funky.
Morning. Good morning, Nat. Good morning, Cass. Nat, obviously, we caught up yesterday.
Yes.
But hello, Cass. How have you summered?
Yeah, I've played a bit of golf. Not very well, unfortunately. My golf game has gone completely. But I've had a really nice summer. Yeah, really good one. And looking forward, like all of us, for football. Obviously, Championship now and League One last week, League Two. So yeah, great.
Yeah, it's a staggered start, should we say, isn't it?
Yes.
Obviously, just touching on last night. Obviously, Nat, we spoke yesterday morning ahead of the Birmingham-Ipswich game. Delighted to see Jay Stansfield get off the score sheet, of course, get off the mark for the season, because it means 500 quid into the Birmingham City Foundation. Just to, Cass, we're going to donate, because we're the official betting partner at Birmingham, £500 for every goal that Birmingham's men's and women's teams score at home this season. So, as I said to Nat yesterday, I want to see lots and lots of goals at St Andrews, apart from when Portsmouth visit there.
Very much so. Right, there are loads of games on the talkSPORT network today, starting with at 12:30 here on talkSPORT, Southampton against Wrexham, Steve-O.
Yeah, another game like last night, of course, relegated team versus promoted team. And Wrexham, what is it, four promotions in a row they'd be seeking. But Southampton looking obviously to bounce straight back. They are odds on at home, 8-11. I thought Wrexham or the draw were quite a big price. 4-1 Wrexham away from home, 3-1 the draw. They've strengthened again, as we've seen them do. Southampton still got one or two doubts over squad members. And as I say, they've got to bounce back from that disappointing season. Were the odds-on shots, Cass, or slightly vulnerable at home, Southampton?
Well, I've been lucky enough to see Will Steele's teams over the years, and always really well organised. They've lost 4 or 5 players that have gone out the door. Carl Walker-Peters, just to name one of them, and others. Will they keep hold of Diblin? That's another issue. But I think that Southampton will have a good season, because one thing that Will Steele has done brilliantly, and he lost a lot when he was at Rants, he lost a lot of players for a club that's way smaller than Southampton. So, yeah, I think they'll do okay because of his ability.
You talk about having a good season, and they are second favourites to win the Championship, 5-1 behind 11-4 Ipswich. They're joint second favourites at 7-4, along with Birmingham, to be promoted again behind Ipswich. Just interesting. We always talk about and what a tough league this is to get out of. The always excellent Mark Langdon in the Racing Post says, for all it is a competitive league and everything. In 5 of the last 6 seasons, the anti-post favourites have actually won the Championship. So look, that bodes well for Ipswich. Yeah. And I know, obviously, we heard the picks earlier, and quite a few of the talkSPORT presenters have gone for Ipswich. So does bode well for them, but loads of teams are going to fancy it. Coventry, what a great job Frank Lampard did. They've got to bounce back, obviously, from playoff disappointment, but they are odds on 8-11 to get off with a victory over Hull today. And talking of teams, that have to face playoff disappointment, Sheffield United versus Bristol City, of course, 2 of the teams in that. Bristol City overachieved last year. Is it fair to say that they surprised a few people with that run getting into the playoffs? Yeah,
they did. I thought they were very poor in the 2 games against Sheffield, and yes, they lost. They went to 10 men in the first game, which they were beaten 3-0. But I'm sure they're a much better team and lost their manager. I'm interested in just a couple of prices, David. I've written down top goal scorer in the Championship. I was thinking, who would be who? I mean, Stansfield will obviously be one of the firm favourites, even without him scoring last night. Yeah, George Hurst and Jay Stansfield, 7-1 joint favourites to be top scorer in the Championship. Then there's a host of players: Cameron Archer, 10-1. Kyogo Furuhashi, 10-1. Damien Downs to Southampton, 12-1. Sami Smodzic, proven obviously in the Championship, 12-1. Have you picked out one for us, Cass? Well, I'm not saying it because he scored, but Stansfield was the one I talked about the week before. I just think he reminds me of Jamie Vardy. The way he plays, the way he scored, the type of goals he gets, and he's running, he's quite clinical. So, yeah, I think if Birmingham can score goals, he's going to certainly be up there with their top goal scorer. And Cass, have you got a prediction for who might win this Championship? I mean, I say about the anti-post favourites have a good record. Are Ipswich the team to beat? Yeah, I think they will be. I think there'll be business done before the end of August that will improve them again, bringing a centre forward. I'm interested in clubs like Millwall. I think Coventry, who were under Lampard last year, showed that They've done very little business, though, David, so far. So it's very tricky because there's still so much to be done before the end of the transfer window.
Yeah, I heard you, Nat. You were talking about this. I mean, it is crazy that the transfer window is still open, isn't it?
Oh,
I mean,
it's awful.
I know we could dissect that one for hours, but
what about your club, David?
Well, look, Oxford away today. Oxford away last season, one of the few bright spots actually on our travels last season. It was our form at Fratton Park that kept us up. This is the closest of the betting today. Oxford, slightest of favourites at 8-5, 7-4 Portsmouth, 11-5 the draw. As I say, we did win 2-0 there last season. I described it yesterday as a modest summer of transfer activity, Cass, but I think, these are two teams, Oxford and Portsmouth. Actually, there was only 1 point between us last season. I can see this being very tight and actually it could be a very similar season to last year. If we stay up, it won't be a bad year at all.
Well, that's the Mousinho derby, isn't it? Because he played for Oxford, was a coach there too, and now is your manager too. Quickly, some racing.
Yeah, Ascot hosts the Shergar Cup today. Bit of fun. There's a team event where jockeys from all around the world fly in. So there'll be a few unfamiliar names, but as I say, a bit of fun. But I'm looking forward to Colonial Downs, which is in Virginia, over in America tonight, just before 11 o'clock. Alice Haynes, Newmarket trainer who Coral sponsor her yard. She's gone on her travels with Cairo, who was third at Royal Ascot, and he's second favourite for the Arlington Million. So it's a huge weekend for the Alice Haynes team. So I'll be staying awake tonight for that one, hopefully having not been bored by Oxford versus Portsmouth this afternoon.
Yeah, good.
There you go. He's optimistic there. Dave, thank you.
David.
Cheers, guys.
Dave Stevens from Coral. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org. Please do gamble responsibly.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Coral, the home of the free-to-play Golden Rewards Shaker. 18 plus max one reward per player per selected Shaker day. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. GambleAware.org.
Coming up, the former Sheffield United manager Danny Wilson will be with us, and also talkSPORT's Scott Minto will join us to look ahead to a busy day of Championship football. Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast with the Republic of Ireland's fourth highest goal scorer. That's Tony Cascarino and me, Natalie Sawyer. Right now, it's time for us to look ahead to today's unmissable sporting action with NordVPN.
Breakfast sports preview on talkSPORT with NordVPN. Beat your mates to the transfer news with lightning fast encrypted connections. Find out more at nordvpn.com/talksport.
What was it?
No, I was just saying it was Scott Minto's birthday this week.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll come to that in just a moment.
Oh.
Because the Championship does get underway this weekend, and on talkSPORT today, we're bringing you 4 commentaries across our network. It culminates in the game at Bramall Lane at 5:30. Sheffield United taking on Bristol City, 2 teams that fared in the playoffs, semi-finals, and then Sheffield United, of course, lost in the actual playoff final as well. But before that, that one on talkSPORT 2, by the way, on the same channel, you can tune in to West Brom against Blackburn. That one kicks off at 3. But first up, we have 2 matches for you that start at 12:30. It's Coventry Hull on talkSPORT 2. And then here on talkSPORT, you will find out how relegated Southampton get on against newly promoted Wrexham as Hollywood comes to the Solent. It's set to be a cracker.
In the Championship, you never know. And then there's the 2 who came up automatically from League One.
What we have witnessed over the course of the last 9 months, over the course of the last 3 years, is utterly remarkable. Wrexham heading to the Championship.
I think Wrexham will do well to get in that anywhere near the top 6 this year.
They've got some impressive players that have come into the squad, but it's getting them to sort of hit the ground running.
Predict the promotion race at your peril. And then Downs! And Flynn Downs has driven in the equaliser.
And we just need to start with, the energy and the intensity that we want to start with.
Southampton have employed Will Stillwell, an exciting young manager.
Archer goes for goal! He scored! Cameron Archer gives Southampton an unlikely lead!
So, of course, they can bounce back, but the recruitment has to be spot on.
OK, so let's look ahead to all the action, and we can speak to a man, as you say, that celebrated his birthday this week. Belated happy birthday to Scott Minto.
I'm still waiting for the text now, honestly.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Bang out of order.
I am. I'm going to have to put a reminder in my phone for every year now. That's what I'll do.
Thank you, yes.
Scott, I wanted to go to you for the belated happy birthday as well. Scott, quite strange on this game because you've got Phil Parkinson, who's 57, been around the block, done all jobs. He's brought in more older, Connor Cody, Kiefer Moore in to more experience. Then you go with the complete opposite with Southampton, which is Will Steele, who's 32, plus younger team. So it's 2 opposite ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely, mate. And as we saw last night, 2 teams that, last season were separated by 2 divisions, and yet you wouldn't have thought it watching it. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's something similar. I do think with the Birmingham game, the feel-good factor of last season, how they kind of just went through League One like a knife through butter, and first game at home, it was always going to be a tough one for Ipswich. I think this one, Wrexham would love to have been at home. I think that it could be a big difference here. But you're right. Will Steele, and I was listening to you and Nat a little bit earlier, his history. It's an incredible history. He's still so young. He's the youngest manager in the EFL. Phil Parkinson is the oldest manager in the Championship. So I think you've got experience against inexperience, but I think what Will's shown already in his short career, and I'm sure it'll be a long career as well, is that he's a very, very good coach. Both of these, in terms of this particular game, both these managers very much like a very strong defence. So I'm not sure there will be lots of goals unless it goes completely out of plan. But I do think it's going to be a very intriguing game.
Yeah, I mean, with Southampton in particular, and Cass sort of touched on some of the movement of players, they've lost a lot of experience when you consider Walker-Peters, Sulemana, Bednarek, Ramsdale have gone. There's still uncertainty over Dibbling, Fernandez as well. It's always a difficult time when a manager comes in, a new manager as well, when there's still a few weeks to go of this transfer window and he doesn't quite know what his team's going to look like by the end of it.
No, but I think most managers know what it's like. I mean, I was on with just after you two, actually, with Crookie in midweek, and we had Phil Parkinson on, and he was saying, look, we all as managers want players to come in on the first day of pre-season, but it just doesn't happen like that. I think the biggest thing is, as much as you want players, you want to just sort the squad out in terms of players who want to go. You want to know whether they have or whether they haven't gone. You want to try and get rid of them as soon as possible if that's the case, because you don't want them hanging around. And I'm not saying they are the lads that perhaps could be leaving, but sometimes attitude might not be spot on if they do want to leave. So you just want a group of players who are absolutely fighting their best for the club that they're playing for at that particular moment. But I think Will still, as I say, he may be young, but he's not inexperienced. He's been a coach for over 10 years now. So, here he's back in England. He's been brought up in Belgium, but has always seen himself as English. I think it's a project that absolutely suits him. The biggest thing for me is, can he turn around that kind of psychological factor that we saw last year, where they only almost were celebrating not being the worst team in history.
That was, do you know, I was going to ask you exactly that, though. I was going to ask you that. I mean, it was such an awful season. You're absolutely right to say that they barely avoided becoming one of the worst ever Premier League sides. They only won 2 games, lost a heck of a lot as well. It's that atmosphere, it's that feeling in the dressing room. That's quite difficult to turn a losing mentality around, perhaps.
It is, and that's why I think, even though there hasn't been a high turnover of players, I actually, people will look at the squad and say, well, this squad is good enough. It was in the Premier League last year. Yeah, but what did they do in the Premier League last year? So I think sometimes that high turnover when you get relegated is not a bad thing, because you got people coming in who are not scarred by what happened last season. And my worry for Southampton is, as much as they're sort of favourites to finish second, is if they don't start well, will the players, as much as what Will Still can do or any coach or manager can do, it's the players who, once they cross that white line, it's down to them. And will they then have sort of memories of what happened last season? They shouldn't do. They should be okay, but you just never know.
It's quite a weird dynamic, because you have, Phil Parkinson, who has gone for experience, but Connor Cody, Kiefer Moore have played championship football as well. You look at Southampton, you've got players that were out on loan like Brereton Diaz, who have come back to the club, Armstrong. So both clubs will be looking at them championship players, Scott, that serve them well or have played well at that level to come back into the fold.
Yeah, I mean, look, we haven't really sort of touched on the fact of it's just an incredible story for Wrexham, isn't it? Back to back promotions. That's never happened before in English history from the fifth flight onwards. So the job that Phil Parkinson has done has been nothing short of sensational. Yes, you could argue he's been given sort of money for that particular division, but he's still got to get it right. And Phil Parkinson is very much a coach of, look, he wants a strong defence, he wants good team spirit, he wants to get crosses in the box. It's not old school, but it's very difficult to defend against, and he tries to cut out any complications as much as possible. They've now brought 8 players in. They've got 8 players still they had from the National League stage. So there's that blend that he's got to deal with now, and it is a big jump up from League One to the Championship. So I think if anyone's expecting another promotion, it's going to be pretty unrealistic. But you've got players here that are capable of playing in the Premier League for both sides.
So as a whole then, who are you tipping to go up?
To go up, I honestly, they weren't good last night, were they, Ipswich? And I think sometimes you need to kick up the backside, and I think that was it. But as I alluded to earlier, it was always going to be a difficult game against Birmingham. But you look at the quality that they've got and the manager that they've got as well, I can't see further than them. The interesting one for me is who's going to get that second spot. Leicester have got a really good squad, but exactly what I just said about Southampton, how are they going to be after what was a terrible season last season? When you're used to losing, it's not easy to suddenly just switch it around. So those two, Southampton and Leicester, are going to be interested. And I'm really keen on Coventry as well. I think Frank Lampard did a great job last season. Whether they can actually make it to the top 2, I'm not sure. But another good run, and they could easily do that. But in terms of the top 6, I certainly expect them to be there.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because, what you said there, Scott, about teams who have been relegated and what the feeling is within the group. That's Luton last year. No one would have thought that Luton would have got relegated again. I just couldn't see it. I thought they showed enough to be really competitive, but it turned out completely different.
Kaz, when I commentated on them in the Premier League, despite them going down, I said if there's one team that will come straight back up, it's Luton. I mean, how wrong was I? I mean,
so that was the curse of the commentator.
Yeah.
I'd never admit that, Scott, on national radio.
Right in the sense they wouldn't stay in the Championship, but just the
you
wrong
were right.
end.
If you'd have used that, they won't be in the Championship next year.
Exactly. But honestly, I don't think people realise, Cass, do they, how the psychological side of professional football is so important. Yes, you can be physically fit. Yes, you can be technically good. But if that, between your ears, if that's not absolutely right, and if you're used to that losing culture and fans can get on top of you, it's very difficult to turn that around. Look, you pay good money to do it, but everybody's a human being and you have to be strong in that.
Well, listen, Scott, enjoy it. Enjoy the game at Southampton that you'll be heading to, and you'll be part of our team down there as well. Thank you for being with us.
Cheers, Scott.
Pleasure, Nat. Pleasure, Cass.
Scott Minter then will be joining Jim Proudfoot on commentary duty then down at St Mary's for Southampton against Wrexham, with Adrian Durham part of the hosting team as well. That was our preview of today's unmissable sporting action with NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day. Find out more at nordvpn.com/talksport. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast on TalkSport with NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Breakfast Sports Preview on talkSPORT with NordVPN. Get an exclusive 72% off a 2-year plan plus an extra month and a £50 Amazon gift card for free. Terms and conditions apply.
morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Thank you very much for tuning in to us this Saturday morning with a man who has been given the freedom of the French city of Nancy. Not that he knows what he's going to do with it. Tony Cascarino, and I'm Natalie Sawyer. We're with you until 10 this morning. A little bit of Pet Shop Boys this morning, Cass, with their song Opportunities, a song all about making loads of money. And we spotted in the papers this morning that is exactly what Bayern's Harry Kane is doing. Kane hoping to score a winner with a new range of healthy snacks. He has teamed up with 3 Bears to bring out 2 vegan protein bars, saying we've focused on something that not only tastes good, but also works for your body.
Okay. Well, I'd like to taste one before I make a decision. If he could Harry send a few bars?
Yeah, we'd happily be your taste testers. Yeah. That's a good idea, Cass. And I'm glad that he's also made to the point of saying, not only does it taste good, I would hope it would taste good.
Yes.
Otherwise...
Not much point.
Yeah, you're not going to sell many. Did you ever think of anything when you were younger as a little business venture you wish you'd gone into or
not really,
pursued?
No, I wasn't business-minded at all. No. I've never really have been. I've just loved what I've done because once I started playing football and then to move over to media was just like a journey that I wanted to do, and I didn't ever really want to get involved in pubs or restaurants.
Yeah.
Or I've had people have asked me, and I've just said, want to just do what I do, and my job is media and playing football.
Yeah.
That's all I've really had. Look, loads of people make a success out of it. From what I hear and what I've seen from my friends, it's tricky running anything.
Oh, and well, these days,
the challenges that they face.
Yeah.
I've just loved what I've done.
I do though wish I had that sort of brain that could come up with something that's.
It's 24/7 every day. Not saying that we don't do, a lot of prep work and all we need
this week it feels like for me.
Exactly. You've done 24/7. But, to do every day and people are getting up at 6 a.m. and make a hell of a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah.
That in itself is challenging. I think if you can do something you love, and this is what I love, football, talking about sport, being part of it, that to me is... I don't really think of the money side. And would I want to have another interest in something else? No, I don't. Don't have any interest at all.
Okay. There you go. Harry Kane teaming up with a healthy snack company. Okay, now, a bit of an interesting feature to finish this hour off with. It's time for us to select our dream team with the Sun.
Dream Team from the Sun on talkSPORT. The free-to-play fantasy football game where there's a share of $100,000 up for grabs. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
I'm sure you've heard this already this week on talkSPORT, but 11 different presenters are going to be selecting 11 players for their dream team from the Sun. They've been given a budget of £50 million for a goalkeeper, defenders, midfielders, and at least one striker. So we have the latest team, Cass.
Yeah.
Where are we starting with this one that we've come up with?
Well, obviously the goalkeeper is where you start, and who had the best defensive record last year? I would have gone Arsenal.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think the keeper have done exceptionally well. Raya, he's $4.5 million, and the top price you can pay for anybody is $7.5 million. And you've got, I think it's 60, isn't it? 60 million?
50
million. So you have to be quite careful.
Yes.
But I'd go Raya. I think playing in front of, playing behind Saliba, Gabriel, although he was injured a lot. I feel that Raya is probably as decent as anyone. Keller at Brentford, I think, would be interesting. How much would Keller?
I think he's about 3 million.
Yeah, I think he'd be interesting at Brentford.
Why? What?
Well, because I thought he played really well for Liverpool last season. I thought he'd done brilliantly well. Apart from one mistake at Newcastle, where he come for a cross and they conceded a goal for him, I thought Keller had done brilliant. I'd said at the time, it was an absolute, I thought it was a gem of a signing for the amount of money. What did you pay in the end? 17, 18?
I was about to say less than 20.
Yeah,
certainly.
less than 20 million.
Yeah, I suppose the difference, though, of course, is the different defence that he'll be playing with.
Yeah.
But still,
he's
he's definitely
well
worth. And if you put him in this team, you'd have a bit more money in the bank.
Yes.
Hey ho. What about your defence?
Well, who done really well? I mean, Van Dijk. I had to have in stand out $5.5 million. Porro, Spurs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, just something about him. Fantastic going forward.
Yeah.
Creator. Not good defensively, but I'll be interested to see how he works for Spurs. So I would look at him. I'd look at Dorku, Manchester United. I thought he was one of the standout players that emerged last year. I think it's a lot more to come from Dorku. So...
I mean, I'm intrigued with the setup, Cass, because I thought you'd have gone 4-4-2, but you've gone for a 4-3-3.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a mixed bag because you can't really organise it like a formation, can you? You're just looking for value.
You can pick 4.
Well, you can, but you're trying to do it on value.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I put Belieber of Brighton in there, and he's on my left-hand side of Morgan Gibbs-White. And
it's a nice midfield,
Gordon. That's a really nice midfield. Yeah, Belieber's one that I'd have to have in there because I've said he hasn't gone over the radar. A lot of people know about him now. He's really a top player at winning the ball back. Caicedo would be, I don't know what Caicedo would be because for me, he was the best last season at getting the ball back, but I'll bet he's 6 million plus. So again, you're having to, work it with a budget.
That's the problem, you see. You think, I've got this all sorted, and then suddenly you're
you're having to drop people.
4 million he would be, Caicedo. So not too expensive when you consider. Yeah, I know. And quickly just tell us your front three.
Salah. Yeah. 7.5 million.
It's a given. I think the majority of people will have Salah in there.
Well, he takes penalties as well, and even if he misses, he's still going to be taking them. Love Bowen at West Ham.
Yeah.
I think he's the sort of tenacious winger come striker that just creates and gets goals. Again, you're having to do a bit of a mixed bag, Nat, because obviously him and Salah play in the same position, but you're just doing it as a forward.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, does it?
No, doesn't matter. Interesting, Beto at Everton, who had a real run in at the end of last season to get goals, but he was reasonably cheap at 3 million.
Oh, so maybe just plug in a hole with Beto.
Yeah, well, plug in a hole, but it'd be interesting to see how he goes because under Moyes at the end of last season, he got a good few goals and important ones at that. 5 of his 8 goals came in the second half of last season when Moyes came in. So, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'm just comparing it to other teams. For example, Paul Hawksby, controversially, I think when anyone's picking a team, you often go, well, I'm going to have Salah or I'm going to have Haaland. Yeah. He hasn't got either. Isn't backing them. What's his biggest player? Who's his biggest name player, Paul?
Well, he's got lots of big name players. Wirtz would be his biggest signing at 6 million. But he has got Bowen. His front three is João Pedro, Jarrod Bowen and Matheus Cunha. He's also got Mohamed Kudus in there. As I said, Florian Wirtz and Xhaka from Sunderland makes up his midfield. And then a back four of Van der Ven, Saliba, Kerkez and Hato, and with Becker, or Alisson, I should say.
Has anyone put Isak in?
No.
I haven't seen too many Isaks.
No, well, the problem is there's the question mark, isn't it?
Yes,
as to where he'll be. And if this is going to run until the end of this window, for example, and he's not going to play for Newcastle, you're missing points. So you don't want to do that, do you? You don't want to risk it as of yet.
It's very technical, this, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah. It is. And you've got to manage your team, Cass. So I'm relying on you. The Weekend Sports Breakfast are relying on you to make sure this is kept up to date. Any injuries, any issues, you've got to transfer them in and out, substitutes, blah, 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 blah.
Not many of my players have been injured.
Oh, right. Let's be honest, you're not going to keep across it.
I will. Now that I've done it, I'll have to.
I know. It's quite good. You kind of get addicted to these sorts of things. So there you go. That is Cass's 11 chosen players for the Dream Team from the Sun.
Dream Team from the Sun on talkSPORT. Download the Dream Team app or visit dreamteamfc.com. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Okay, coming up in the last hour of the show, we're going to be joined by the former Southampton striker, Kevin Davies, to preview his old side's opener against Wrexham. And we'll talk about both Sheffield clubs with former United and Wednesday boss, Danny Wilson. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast.
Tyson Fury, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez. Just hearing these names makes you think money and the hundreds of millions of dollars, pounds or Saudi riyals in boxing. But that's at the top. At the bottom, it isn't quite the same. Even for those on the rise, there's not an awful lot of cash in the boxing world. And if you're just starting out, well, it can be a very costly exercise indeed. But don't take my word for it. Here's the former European champion, talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver.
You're turning professional and you're boxing, let's say, York Hall on a non-televised fight. You have to sell tickets to earn any money, but you have to cover the wages of your opponent as well. So if you don't have the ability to be able to sell enough tickets, you effectively have to pay to fight.
A far cry then from Jake Paul facing Mike Tyson in 2024, when the purse was reported to be around £48 million. But the vast amounts of cash lining the top dog's pockets isn't the norm in a typical fight.
Let's say you're lucky and you get between 5 and 10 grand. You're going to get 10 grand max for that. 10% goes to the trainer, 25% goes to the manager. Then we've got the tax man to pay as well. So we're cutting that money in at least half. So now you've got 5 grand for a 10-week camp. So you're talking about a guy here earning, he might be clearing 500 quid a week. How do you support a family on that? So boxers chase the dream. And, you know, there's probably 2% of them that actually make it.
So say you do make it and you start to rise up the ranks. Strikers Boxing, a training academy, says the mid-tier fighters can earn more, somewhere between £10,000 and £50,000 a fight, depending on record, profile, opponent and popularity of weight class. It's only at the top level does the real cash start flowing in, with the top-tier professionals, i.e. those going for titles, earning 6 figures a fight. Something else you'll have heard of is the terms prize fighter or journeyman. A prize fighter is, as it sounds, someone who picks up fights where they can and gets a nice big check if they win. Journeymen are the fighters who take on up-and-comers, effectively used for experience in the ring. Even if they're going up against a real prospect, a young Anthony Joshua, for example, these guys will be lucky to earn more than 10 grand. So the average boxer isn't as rich as you'd think.
Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Thank you very much for being with us this Saturday morning. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me is a man who can not only score goals, he can do a nice shampoo and set as well. It's Tony Cascarino.
Yeah, that's me. Morning.
So versatile. There's loads coming up on the show. The rest of the championship gets underway this weekend after yesterday's drama-filled opener between Birmingham and Ipswich.
Boos from the Birmingham fans, and Ipswich have spoiled the Birmingham party on the opening night of the championship season with an injury-time equaliser in a niggly, feisty game full of controversy.
Sheffield United take on Bristol City in their season opener, but legendary manager Neil Warnock has his reservations.
Sheffield United, I think Ruben Sells is a very lucky man to get a job like that, if I'm honest, after what he did at Hull. But
Indeed. Well, more on that, I'm sure. And talkSPORT is your home of the championship. We'll be bringing you 4 live and exclusive commentary matches today on the opening Saturday of the season.
It's never over till it's over in the championship. Are you ready for it? Fired into the bottom right-hand corner. It's 2-0 Southampton. It's in! It's in! Ipswich are level!
Palmer checks onto his right and scores a brilliant goal back for Sheffield United.
The championship can't be beaten.
Wonderful goal from Abdul Fatawu, his second of the night, Leicester's third. Sakamoto up against Dilling Jr. Gets the cross in left-footed. Radoni! Coventry lead!
You just can never sit comfortably in the championship.
Good ball inside the area, and Stansfield does it again.
What we're trying to accomplish is all about what you're doing today, not about what you did 2 years ago or 5 years ago. It's about what you do today.
What a strike! Ollie Rathbone sends the racecourse into raptures. You just never know which twist any game is going to turn next.
Yes, it is a season, no doubt, with lots of twists and turns to come. But we're going to focus right now on our early kick-off offering here on talkSPORT that sees relegated Southampton take on promoted Wrexham, with Scott Minto, Jim Proudfoot, your commentary team for this one. The question is, how will both of these sides get on as Wrexham look to pull off the impossible with a fourth successive promotion? As for Southampton, it's a rebuild job in a sense, with Will Still now at the helm. Can they bounce back at the first opportunity? Delighted to say, joining us then to look ahead to this game, it is the former Southampton striker Kevin Davies. Kevin, how are you? Good morning.
Hi, Kevin.
Very well. Good morning. How are you all?
You're good, thanks.
We're well and excited for this one. We were talking about this with Scott Minto actually a little bit earlier on, as he's part of our commentary team for this one, Kevin, and in particular talking about Southampton. When you consider last season, how difficult a season it was, it's a big job mentally, really, in a way, for Will Still to change that sort of losing attitude that they kind of had throughout last season, sadly.
Yeah, it's a huge job. I can only think to when, obviously, I got relegated with Bolton towards the end of my career there. It was tough. The whole summer you're thinking about it, the regrets of what you could have maybe done differently. But I think it's about his staff and the manager. It's about the culture that they set from day one, really say, look, that's done with, really, isn't it? It's all about the future now and rebuilding. And I think you can't help but be impressed by him, the way he speaks, very confident in his own abilities, isn't he, the manager for such a young man as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they cope this year. It's a big challenge for him. He's obviously done well in France and Belgium, being thrown in at the deep end in a few clubs and done really well. So I've been very impressed by him so far. I think they're going to do well.
There's always challenges, Kevin, isn't there? I mean, you lose experienced players, as in Ramsdale, Cole Walker-Peters, Bednarak. So there's challenges there, but you have to move on as a football club. So Will Still will be well aware and been in this position before, having to use the market and produce people from within and possible targets that he's witnessed and watched in France.
Yeah, exactly. He's already brought a couple of young ones in, hasn't he? So I think, historically Southampton have been fantastic in the transfer market, not just for players, but for managers as well. Look at some of the managers that they've had in the past, like Pochettino and Koeman and managers like that. So they've got it right, I think, more often than not. I think last year, Russell Martin probably admitted he got it wrong with the recruitment strategy, the players that he brought in. I think he was a bit shocked by the physicality and the quality in the league, and he got caught out. I think he admitted that, really, and he wasn't willing to change, wasn't he? So I think with Will, it seems a little bit different. I think he's creating a really good environment from what I can hear there. He's getting the right staff around him. He's challenging the players daily. He wants them to make mistakes, but then go again. So he wants to play football on the front foot. So I'm really excited by what we're going to see this year. I think they'll dip into the market. I think they need to bring 2 or 3 more in, I think. We know the qualities and the demands on the Championship, so I think they need to add to the squad. But I think, listen, the players that they've missed, Kyle Walker-Peters probably for me is the biggest one they'll miss. But I think other than that, listen, they got relegated, so the squad wasn't good enough for the Premier League last year. I'll have to wait and see whether it's good enough for the Championship.
Tell us what you think of the Wrexham story, the fact that they're coming into this season with the possibility of 4 promotions in a row.
Yeah, I think I've watched them. I used to cover the National League, so I used to cover them back there as well. So I've seen the story grow. Obviously, Phil Parkinson, I think, has been the biggest signing for them. A wily old manager, knows the levels, so he's been fantastic for them. But it's a Hollywood story, isn't it? I think you have to enjoy it. Can they do it again? That'd be a massive ask, wouldn't it? But if they could do it this year, interesting to see how they get on. I think they'll be up there. I think, again, brought 1 or 2 good players in, probably adding to the squad again. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're challenging in and around the players, but I think it would be a big ask to go again in the Championship, but we'll have to wait and see. But excited by it, yeah.
Yeah, I was making the point earlier, Kevin. It's like the 2 opposite ends of the spectrum, with the experience of Phil Parkinson, of how he's used his management skills to make success. And he always tells you there's more than one way to skin a cat, and Will Still's done exactly the same, but at the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I think 2 different styles of management. I think we know Phil Parkinson is a bit old school, aggressive front to back pretty quickly. And I think Will play a different style of football. He's a young, different kind of manager, aren't he? So 2 very different managers, I think, in their approaches. But again, we'll see if they both get the results. But Phil's done an amazing job there so far. But we know the Championship's a big challenge for them, isn't it? But I think they'll do okay.
Yeah, just remind everybody then about the challenge of the Championship. I mean, we've been talking about it perhaps being one of, if not the most exciting league, when you consider the rigours of it, the fact that you are often playing Saturday, Tuesday, etc., and all of these other elements that come into play. Just tell us what it's like playing in it.
I had a couple of seasons, thankfully. It was tough. I think I had one season with Bolton after we got relegated, and I was probably mid-30s, so there were a lot of demands on myself at the time, trying to play the games. But I think it's a great league to watch, isn't it? It feels unpredictable at times. I think you look at the teams in there this year, I think anyone can probably beat anyone. I think it's going to be competitive from top to bottom, and it may see someone a little bit different, an underdog this year, maybe that gets up there and gets that promotion. I think it's that open in the league this year. So, again, always looking forward to the Championship. I think it's a brilliant league to watch, entertaining from start to finish, and the demands are huge. You know, a lot of it's about recovery, playing Saturday, recovering and going again, not much time on the training ground. So it's full on. It's a full on league.
Well, as you know, Kevin, and I've been in them dressing rooms as well, the holy grail, and one of the things for players in the Championship is that they want to be a Premier League player, you know, and that desire to be one and prove they're good enough to play in the Premier League. And I think that's why you get so much motivation, because you're within touching distance of being that level.
Exactly that, isn't it? It's such a nice thing to have as a player, isn't it? To go through the pain of the 10 months, the recovery, the injuries, all the kind of things that come with a demanding season. But at the end of the season, to get that promotion to the Premier League, where everybody wants to play, probably in the world wants to play in the Premier League. So it's there, the carrot's there, but it's tough. The demands are tough. But I think what I've heard of Will so far, you know, is trying to really create that environment around the club. Forget about what happened last season. It was a disaster for the club, and just trying to move on, but it's tough. But I've been really impressed by him so far. Can they do it? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, you want to get to the Premier League for sure.
Brilliant. Kevin, thank you. What's happening with you these days?
Just living down on the south coast after retired. Bits of media here and there, but yeah, golf, paddle, usual kind of stuff really.
Not any work, Kevin?
Not full time, no. After retired.
Well,
enjoy it.
Enjoy it, absolutely. Thank you. Join us again. Thank you.
Cheers, Kevin. Bye-bye.
That's Kevin Davis there. Right, next we're going to discuss Newcastle's transfer window. They've really struggled to attract players, or certainly they've been in competition with many clubs and they've missed out. So we'll be discussing that. That's despite the fact they've got Champions League football to look forward to. They've won their first domestic trophy in 70 odd years. So what has gone wrong for Newcastle? We'll discuss it next. You're listening into the Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT with the former Aston Villa and Celtic striker Tony Cascarino, who is with me, Natalie Sawyer. talkSPORT 2 brings you 3 commentaries from the Championship today. Sheffield United versus Bristol City at 5:30. Before that, at the Hawthorns, it's West Brom Blackburn from 3. But before all of that, at 12:30, Coventry take on Hull. Ollie Klink will be your host for the games, and here he is with more of the details.
Hello, I'm Ollie Klink and I'll be bringing you live coverage of the first Saturday afternoon of the Championship season live on talkSPORT 2 later today, and we have some cracking games to kick us off. First up at 12:30, Frank Lampard's Coventry take on Hull City. Coventry just missing out in the playoffs last time out and will be looking to be in that race for promotion this time around too. Hull surviving by the skin of their teeth. We'll be live at the CBS for that one. Then straight after, we'll be at the Hawthorns for a 3 o'clock kickoff. West Brom, under their new manager Ryan Mason, are taking on Blackburn Rovers. Big job this one for Mason, and it'll be a return to the Baggies for former manager Valerian Ismail. Plenty to look forward to then, and we'll have you covered on talkSPORT 2 because we're your home of the EFL.
Ollie, thank you very much. We look forward to that. Here's some of your messages, because you have been sending in your destinations that you are heading to with regards to the games that are taking place. This is from Jim, who says he's off to Stourbridge later to watch the mighty Stourbridge versus Bury Town in the Southern League Premier Central, first game of the season. Andy and Nikki Hayes are setting off to watch the mighty Bolton from Oxford, over 300-mile round trip, no doubt. We will see some of the Green Army on the M6. That is the Plymouth side heading up there. By the way, talk of teams to look out for.
Yeah.
Mike, the Stokey, says...
Oh, yeah, good, interesting.
Yes, you need to have a look at the business Stoke have done this season.
It's been well needed.
Or this window, yes. Mark Robbins is a proven quality manager, and Stoke will have a strong and powerful team. I mean, it's been a while since Stoke have been in that conversation.
Well, Summer for a long period he done an amazing job at Coventry. He really did. That's a ground share for a time being, and then transfers he's made, and then players got sold on. So he's done an amazing. And I think he's right. Mark Robbins at that level is very well proven.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you, Mike, for pointing that out to us. And we did have another one as another team to look out for. This is from Charlie, who says, as a surprise team in the Championship, watch out for Derby. John Eustace, 10 new signings. Rams fans are quietly confident, and that is the best way to be.
Yeah,
go under the radar.
There's a little bit of that going on at Millwall.
Yeah, no.
Under Alex Neil, there's a lot of Millwall fans who are expecting a slightly better season of the way they've performed, certainly in the second half of the season.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And Millwall have been a team that's sort of always been in and around that picture. Yeah. Certainly when I remember Brentford being in the Championship, Millwall were one of those teams that you thought, well, they could sneak into the playoffs.
They've budget-wise, they're not a club that should be competing at the top end, but they've obviously their support's gone up. They've had better attendances, and there's a little bit more of a buzz around the club over what they did last season in the Championship. Nearly made it to the playoffs.
There we go. Okay, we're going to move on because we're going to talk about Manchester United. Manchester United? No, we're not. We're talking about Newcastle United. I beg your pardon. For one reason or another, they've had a difficult window, from losing their sporting director to missing out on key targets and to seeing their star striker Alexander Isak training alone, as it looks as though he's trying to force a move away. They have signed Anthony Elanga from Nottingham Forest and also brought in Aaron Ramsdale on loan from Southampton. Will that be enough, though, to challenge next season or this coming season? On the sports bar, former Spurs and Chelsea defender Jason Cundy said the club have been humbled in this transfer market so far.
It does feel as though, even though you've got Champions League football, you are not mixed. You're not one of the big dogs, unfortunately. And this is, it's hard to take, I'm sure. But when you look at teams like Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, other teams that historically have had more success recently as well in the game than Newcastle, even though they're a big club, but they're not a big dog.
I mean, they're not a big dog is what he's referring to there. It has been a difficult summer, really, for Newcastle, because transfer targets have come and gone. Why do you think it has been so hard?
Well, they've gone after players that some of the leading clubs in the country have gone after as well.
Yeah.
And they've lost out. And that's unfortunate. I would be way more optimistic about Newcastle. I think Eddie Howe's created and put together a very good Newcastle team. And yes, Isaac is very important to that. Look at their midfield. Look at their wide lads. People like Murphy that have done well. Anthony Gordon, you know, and then you go midfield with Tonali and Joe Linton and Gramares, and then you go to the back line of Lewis Hall and Livramento and Dan Burn and just Botman, who had been injured for large periods. I actually feel that it hasn't worked out so far like they would have wanted it, but Newcastle are still a really good side.
Well, why don't we get you to either agree or dismiss with a couple of things that have been said as to maybe other reasons as well why they've missed out? Is it because Newcastle is not an attractive place?
No, I'd like to think, as being an ex-player, that players are not thinking about whether it's the right place to live for them or not. Newcastle, I've been there a few times. It's a fabulous town. I wouldn't be deciding a location as whether I should go to a football club.
Right.
I would be going, is this the best place for me to play my best football? Okay, that doesn't always work out. But I would be looking at purely on where can I play my best football. When I left Gillingham, my first transfer, I had three choices. I could have gone to Leeds, could have gone to Ipswich, and I could have gone to Millwall. I chose Millwall. That was the local one, but I chose it for different reasons.
Right.
I felt I'd met John Docherty and chatted away, who was the manager at the time. He convinced me it was the right way, a right place for me to go. And he also talked about the partnership with Teddy Sheringham. And I thought that was the best option for me. So as a player, you should be thinking about, if Newcastle, you think you're going to play your best football and it's Newcastle, go there. You shouldn't be going there whether, is it a nice place to live? Well, there's loads of places in England that's lovely to live. There's loads of places all over the country. Whether it's Manchester, Birmingham. I lived in Birmingham, lived in Warmley, Sutton Coldfield. I loved it.
Okay, here's another reason someone has given us perhaps why some players are not going there. This was what Adi Oladipo said on Drive, where he basically said Eddie Howe might be the problem because he's not sexy enough.
Am I meant to... Really?
In the sense of he's not someone that a lot of players would want to work under, I guess, is what he means by sexy enough. He's not, he's not a fashionable manager, perhaps. He's not a Pep Guardiola. He's not an Arne Slot, not a Jurgen Klopp, whatever it is.
I can't remember.
That's what I think he's alluding to, Addy.
Yeah. I think any player should be looking at Eddie and thinking, will he improve me? Is he good for me? Does he, No, I wouldn't understand. I wouldn't be thinking like that about a manager. I'd be thinking, am I going to, like I said about being a player, will I perform my best? And Eddie Howe clearly, very clearly, look, let's think of it this way. You had Livramento was on the south coast. Okay, Newcastle come in, big move. Goes up to Newcastle.
Yep.
You had Hall at Chelsea, Lewis Hall. Could have stayed at Chelsea. The opportunity to go and play football at Newcastle.
Yeah.
He went and took. So I don't quite see that argument. I just don't think location should be an issue to a football player.
Okay.
Look, there might be some places you really don't want to go, but I think you're spoilt of choice, really, of where you can go in England, especially in the Premier League.
Obviously, a lot of this probably does stem from the fact that they've lost out to Manchester United in a couple of players. Benjamin Šeško, Brian Mbeumo before that as well. And the big basis of that is, well, Newcastle have Champions League football. Why won't these two players, or why didn't these two players think, I want to play Champions League football? Yet they've still chosen a club who have no European football to look forward to. That's, I guess,
my opinion on this.
No, but I do. And we'll come to that in a moment. But I guess that's why a lot of people are saying, well, maybe it is because they're put off by the location, or maybe Eddie Howe just doesn't do it for that player in the conversations that they have had. And there must be an element as well. And look, we don't know it really, because let's say Brian Mbeumo has had discussions with Newcastle. He might well have been persuaded. He might well have thought, actually, I do want to work with Eddie Howe, but in swoop Manchester United.
Yeah, well, Manchester United spent a lot on refurbing their training ground and spent £50 million.
Yeah.
And they laid loads of people off saying that the club was in a terrible position financially. And then they've gone and spent loads in the transfer market with Mbeumo, Cunha, and now Šeško. They were refusing to lose to Newcastle. I guarantee you that Newcastle have lost out because of how strong Manchester United were going to go and knowing they weren't going to win the battle. Because quite clearly, Manchester United were going, we're getting him and you ain't. And that was the old Fergie way. When he done transfers, they would move heaven and earth to get a player. And I think that's what they've done with Brian Mbeumo, who could have gone to Newcastle, and they've done with Sesko. They've enticed him to come. And that's what big clubs do. They end up saying, sometimes we have to show our muscle.
Yeah.
And I think the club Newcastle realised they're just not going to win that battle at that particular time. But fair play for going after certain players.
Well, listen, just quickly before we hit the break, Matt has been in touch. Thank you, Matt, for your message. He says there's nothing wrong with Newcastle in this window. It's just a simple fact that the players we have targeted have gone to bigger clubs. Had we lost them to smaller clubs, then we could be asking questions. He says it's refreshing to see us being ambitious.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And
Which is true.
Well,
That is true,
imagine.
I get that.
Let's just flip this just really briefly, Nat. If Sesko would have chose Newcastle over Manchester United, what do you think our radio conversation would have been? Are Manchester United finished as the biggest or one of the biggest clubs? Of like Liverpool and Manchester United, we always put them on the same pedestal. We would have been arguing saying it's Man United are finished as being the leader or the flagship of the Premier League to some degree. We'd have been saying if Newcastle have got the better of them, and they were refusing to let that happen, Manchester United. So I think Newcastle were literally pushed to a corner that they knew they weren't going to win.
Or, as you said before, more that Man United knew they were going to win. Perhaps. Yeah. Okay, don't forget, you can always have your say on all the big talking points from the transfer window to the weekend's football on talkSPORT today and tomorrow. The Game Day phone-in will take your calls from 5:30 following all of today's action, as well as tomorrow night from 6:30 after the final whistle of the Community Shield. It's Majestic and Alan Pardew who will take your calls on the final word. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT with NordVPN. Get your talkSPORT exclusive offer today with 72% off a 2-year plan, an extra month and a £50 Amazon gift card for free. Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at nordvpn.com/talksport. Coming up next, we'll look ahead to the 5:30 kickoff as Sheffield United take on Bristol City. Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Thank you very much for tuning in to the once Evening Standard Player of the Month award winner, Tony Cascarino, and me, Natalie Sawyer. And following us from 10, you've got the warm-up with Max Rushton and Alex Brooker. Not long until we'll be talking about the Premier League season kicking off. We've got the traditional curtain raiser tomorrow with the Community Shield, and then next Friday it's Liverpool against Bournemouth in the opener for the Premier League before it all gets underway next weekend. What are you looking forward to with the Premier League?
Everything.
Yeah.
I'm at Tottenham.
Are you expecting Liverpool to be challenged better, let's say, stronger?
I do think I've said to you, on air that Arsenal, I think, will be the biggest challengers to Liverpool, but that doesn't rule out other teams. And whoever gets it spot on with their transfers are going to have a big impact. And Liverpool have gone big and exciting. I have no doubt that they are going to be top goal scorers in the Premier League. It's whether they can keep it tight at the other end as well. But they're an exciting side. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm at Tottenham versus Burnley in the first game of the season.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to going that. Scotty Parker going back to his old club. And his Burnley team down there. And Thomas Frank, that begins in the Premier League. So.
Although we might get a real test of the Thomas Frank era this week with the Super Cup.
Yes.
Against PSG.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Well, they got beaten midweek, didn't they, at Bayern Munich? But I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
4-0, wasn't it?
Yeah.
4-0.
But that's a friendly. The Super Cup, although you might say, well, it's not as important, obviously.
Well, you've got to be ready.
Yeah, it's still a big final in some ways.
Oh, absolutely. I've gone and commentated on Super Cup games and enjoyed them because teams are literally primed to start the season. And Thomas Frank will be looking for his side to be really ready for the Burnley game because it's a great game to have, PSG. They were the best team in Europe last year by quite a long way.
But as we know, Chelsea found a way to
they did.
In the Club World Cup final. Imagine if Thomas Frank can get it done too.
Chelsea are a good side. Pedro's, I think, going to add as much to anyone as being a transfer that I think will excite by the time Christmas comes. A lot of Chelsea fans will be very positive.
All right, then. This evening, Sheffield United get their season underway as they take on fellow last season's playoff semi-final opponents, Bristol City. Both clubs are under new management this season, with the Blades plucking Ruben Selles, after he was sacked from Hull, and Bristol City appointing the former Barnsley boss, Gerhard Struber, to replace Liam Manning, who has joined Norwich. So who better to talk about today's game than a former Sheffield United and Barnsley manager? It's a good morning to Danny Wilson. How are you, Danny?
Hi, Danny.
Hi, Charlie.
You're good. Danny, I wanted to start with you because I found it quite strange this season that actually, I know Bristol City are taking on Sheffield, which they lost 6-0 over the two legs, but there's actually been quite a few departures from Sheffield United with not really much recruitment gone on to any level. That they've received like 28 million for players to go out the club.
Yeah, they're having a real transition. Yeah, I think so. After Chris left, which I think was a big surprise to everybody, particularly some of the season ticket holders at Sheffield United. I thought that Chris had an outstanding season last year, although, you know, towards the end of the actual playing season, he had a couple of iffy results that put them in the playoffs. But I think everybody thought he would still get through those playoffs, but they've got this history of not being able to make it through. So, you know, in the decision from the board, I think, was very brave to replace him. He was a massive fan's favourite. And I think it's a big test now for Ruben Sellers to try and emulate what Chris has done the last few years with Sheffield United. And I think in doing that, he's let some of the players go that Chris depended on. It's going to be a big season, a big turnaround, and like you say, there's some big players that have left. Sousa and Ahmed Hodic has gone as well. You know, he's just recently, and replaced him with Samari. I think he'll be a good player. I think in terms of the midfield play area there for Sousa. But the rest of them, you know, they're quite unexperienced and loan players. So we'll be interested in how they get on. They've had a good pre-season so far. Scored lots of goals, a bit like Bristol City have had as well. They've had some good results pre-season. So it's going to be interesting, you know, the two managers when they go head to head. Yeah,
and obviously, as we know, with Sheffield United, they ran Leeds and Burnley close pretty much just until the last few games of the season, where they had a few, a spell of 3 losses, I think it was, that saw them fall out of contention for the top 2. But in terms of establishing themselves, I mean, people are talking predominantly about Ipswich, predominantly about Southampton, perhaps as the 2 teams to look out for as the top 2. But do you think Sheffield United should really be in the mix as well in that conversation, despite all the changes this summer?
I do, yeah. I think they've still got a squad that's capable of putting a good run together to catapult them into those top 6 or the top 3, whatever. Too. So yeah, I think they've still got enough in there, you know, to be up there at the end of the season. But again, you know, when a new manager comes in and he wants to change the pattern of football around, which he's stated already, you know, and it's going to be it's not going to be easy for them. You know, I think Ruben Sellers himself he's got to, you know, get more than 90 points for what Chris got last year, and they didn't make it last year, Chris, as you well know.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to be a big ask for him. I think both managers, both in Gerard Struber and with Ruben, did both, you know, nail the colours to the mast and said how they want to play football. Both high pressing, should be good for the fans, you know, from both clubs. But it'll be very interesting if they can change the style around in such a quick period.
Danny, tell us what it was like managing Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday, because obviously there's a huge divide there, but you've achieved that. Was it a difficult question?
Tony, I think you know what it's like when you go to your rivals. You know, early doors was very difficult, I have to say, but there were 2 brilliant clubs, and as you well know, they're well supported. They've got some terrific fans behind them, and the people of Sheffield, you know, even now, have been very good to me on both sides. But going to Sheffield United first off, it was a long time. I went a little bit like Ruben Sellers has got at the moment, where he's had to deal with all pre-season things when he just wants the games to come along and get some results, you know. And so you're dealing with a lot of stuff off the pitch, which wasn't very nice sometimes, but again, results make the big difference, and I think that's the same. You know what Ruben will find, that as soon as he gets a few results under his belt, people will stop having them doubts about you. You know, and maybe you know, they'll get really behind him, and they could have a good season again.
I mean, in terms of Sheffield Wednesday, you must be looking at the situation right now and just sort of have despair, because this is such a brilliant club. I mean, it's a club that has, under Chansiri, especially when he first came in, pushed for promotion, gambled a lot of his money clearly on trying to get up into the Premier League. That didn't work out. And now they find themselves in a situation when they can't even afford sock tape for the players. That's how bad the plight is. I mean, you must have such huge sympathy for everybody involved.
That's what you just put it into a nutshell, though, with the despair that people are feeling in this area, you know, from the Wednesday fans is incredible. You know, I don't think they've ever seen this type of demise of the football club so quickly. You know, everybody's having a go at the chairman, the owner. He has put a lot of money in, and you have to remember that. You know, I don't know exactly how much it is, but he has put a lot of money in over the years, and it's not quite got him over the line for the promotion that they wanted, but he's just had enough. But I think, you know, in saying that, if he's had enough, then I think it's time for him to sell the club. But my words won't change his mind. He's set on a certain price, I believe. and it won't change, until that price comes along. But I very much doubt it will come along, because there's so much work needs doing at Hillsborough at the moment in time, and as you know, they've shut the North Stand down already. Needing repairs, and that's going to cost a lot of money. So as it goes along, I presume the club is not going to attract as much money as he thinks.
No, and also attracting players, Danny, which if you're short of numbers, which they clearly are, and have lost a few who have walked out the club because they haven't been paid, it's going to be an incredibly challenging season for Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, it is, Tony. There's no doubt about it. I think the Barry Bannon's been a big bonus from the fans' point of view, because he's re-signed with them, and Barry's a legend at the club at this period, and that might be just a big help that everybody needed, that little bit of a lift. But it's going to take more than Barry, and the players that are coming in have got to hit the ground running, and they've got to have some experience of the Championship, and you know how brutal that can be in the Championship at times. So it's a massive ask, and it's a massive ask for the new manager Hedrick as well. Pedersen is it's a new area for him as well. Management, it's not the same as being an assistant manager. It's far from the same, and the pressures that come with it. So I hope it turns it around quickly. I hope they can get the sale done quickly, so the players and the staff can really concentrate on the games that are coming up.
Danny, just one brief one. One thing that really gave me, because we stereotype players a lot about being greedy and, quite selfish on certain issues. I was so delighted to hear Barry Bannon say the players are not going to go on strike, because that was always the benchmark for everybody before, is whatever we do and how tough things are for not only players but people off the field, we still have to represent the club on the football pitches, which I felt was a really great thing to happen.
It was a class decision. There's no doubt about it. That could have been so harmful. Should he have said that they're refusing to play, I think he would have lost all sympathy from the fans and people that like yourselves and on the media side of it, because you just can't walk away. And I think football. Yeah, you're right. Is judged a lot of time on the money that people are earning and this, that, and the other. And sometimes it's not looked at these personal decisions that Barry's made. I think he's been a brilliant decision for him. He's been a great spokesman for his players,
definitely, and
a good go between him and the owner. I presume that's the situation that it is. So it's great. Just keep playing and just hopefully keep your fingers crossed that everything can turn around for the players and the fans as well.
Yeah. Okay. Danny, lovely to chat to you. Thank you.
Cheers, Danny. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Danny Wilson there. I mean, you're absolutely right, by the way, on Barry Bannon. And as Danny pointed out, the right sort of figurehead spokesperson to have as your captain. He clearly shows that leadership quality. When he came on talkSPORT earlier this week, I think it was, where he said, you're right, we're not going to go on strike. We're going to try and fulfill everything that we can. But his sympathy goes to everybody that works behind the scenes at Sheffield Wednesday, because there are people that have been there for years that don't earn anywhere near the type of money that football players earn, who's probably waking up every day thinking, when am I next going to get paid?
Well, have I got a job?
Well, all of those kind of things.
Yeah.
That, how can I keep a roof over my head?
It's just a place you should never go as a footballer, to actually go on strike for whatever reason, whether it's transfer, whether it's the club's in difficulty. You're under contract to play for the football club. I had this at Marseille. I don't want to, obviously we haven't got time now, but you know the story of Marseille.
Yeah.
We had to represent the club.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Yeah. Okay. Sheffield United versus Bristol City. That is live on talkSPORT 2 this evening, kicking off at 5:30. Tomorrow, we're going to speak to a Sheffield Wednesday fan ahead of their opening game when they head to Leicester, which will be live on the talkSPORT network as well. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT with NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day. Find out more at nordvpn.com/talksport. Up next, we'll have all the important statistics ahead of this weekend's championship action as we bring you Natalie Sawyer, and we will talk about a man who clearly hates being the centre of attention. Not our Cass. We're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. Good morning. This is the Weekend Sports Breakfast. It is the former Republic of Ireland striker Tony Cascarino who is with me, Natalie Sawyer. And here are some of your headlines today. Chelsea have confirmed defender Levi Colwill has undergone successful surgery after suffering an ACL injury. He'll be out of action, they say, between 6 and 9 months. England's Chris Woke says rehabilitation could be a risk he's willing to take to be fit for the Ashes rather than having surgery on the shoulder injury he sustained against India. And talkSPORT caught up with Bayer Leverkusen manager Ten Hag after their 2-0 loss to Chelsea. He was asked about his time with Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United and if there were any problems between the two.
For me, it's no problem. It was never the problem. And it's, I think that's the past. I think it was what happened. It's the past. And after that, we won 2 trophies at Manchester United. I wish him all the best for the future, and I wish him the best of luck. So.
Okay, short and sweet in that sense. The second move really didn't quite work out. This the return of Ronaldo at United, did it?
Well, it was the depth of United's problems.
Yeah.
You know, it was quite clear there was major issues at the football club, and Cristiano Ronaldo had played for Real Madrid and he had seen the Manchester United of the Fergie time of how the club was run, and it was obviously winning lots of trophies, and he saw standards slip dramatically. And he questioned it, and he isn't wrong, because a number of years later the training ground's been refurbed and 50 million spent on it. So
yeah. I mean, that's the Ineos money, I assume, with the football operations in Sir Jim Ratcliffe. But you're right. I mean, one of the things he said, one of these interviews, wasn't it, Ronaldo, at the time when he was still at Manchester United, saying the training ground's not changed. It's still the same stuff, basically, he was alluding to. Not, I'm sure, not exactly the same equipment, but in the main, it was the same as when he was there the first time, which is quite shocking to hear.
Yeah, and watched and witnessed clubs who have got amazing facilities.
The progression
of where they are, and he'd felt that United had stood still, and I think it's quite clear they did.
Yeah.
And they paid huge price for that. And now the club is now trying to reignite its muscle in the Premier League, and that's what it should be doing.
Yeah. All right, it's time for a bit of this. Stats. Expected goals. Possession in the final third. Clean sheets. Yellow or red cards. Shots on target.
Shots on target.
These aren't just any stats. These are Natalie Sawyer stats. Indeed, it is your latest instalment of Natalie Sawyer, where I'll bring you some key stats heading into the opening weekend of this championship season. So, Cass, since 2005, it's taken a minimum of 85 points to gain automatic promotion from the Championship to the Premier League. Does it make it one of the hardest, if not the hardest, leagues to win in the world?
No.
Oh.
I don't think it makes it the hardest. No, if you look over the years, I think there's clear teams that have, and there's been a number of teams who have been favourite and gone up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's the hardest.
Okay.
I think it's very competitive for many different reasons, and that's the amount of games you have to play. There is a lot of battling going on with who does the best recruitment. Leeds went really big, and look, they went back to back over 90 points. If you go back the year before, where they stayed in the division with 90 plus points, and then Sheffield United last year got 92 points and didn't get promoted. But I wouldn't say it's the hardest league. No.
Okay.
I think it's it's a big advantage for teams who go down and have parachute payments.
Yes. That's true.
Big advantage over other clubs.
That is very true. Wrexham, we take you back to 1982, Cass. That was the last time they played in the second tier of English football. Some 43 years and 86 days ago, in fact. And they will face Southampton. What do you mean, here we go?
Oh, yeah, come on. What's coming on about 1982?
No, nothing. No. See, that would be a good question, and we haven't got that. How much was a pint back in 1982, Gas? No. This, of course, their opening championship fixture as they head to Southampton live, an exclusive to talkSPORT from 12:30. What do you think a good season would be for Wrexham?
I think anything around mid-table would be absolutely understandable for Wrexham, even though they're having to reinvest and spend more money and give more wages. I just think it will be really tricky for them to I just don't see Wrexham getting promoted. If they did it, it'll be a most ridiculous story out there that's been, we always hear these great sporting achievements. I just think what they've done so far is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, a draft bitter was about 61p
61.
in 1982.
What can 61p get you now, Nat?
Not a lot. Not a lot.
No.
Sadly. All right, that is it for us this morning. Thank you very much for all of you that have been in touch. If you're off to a game, especially your opening game of the season, best of luck. And we'll be back tomorrow morning as we look back on the opening day or the opening weekend of this championship season and look ahead to what is to come tomorrow, as well as the Community Shield between Liverpool and Crystal Palace, which is live on talkSPORT. On the way next, you've got the warm-up with Max Rushton and Alex Brooker.